Chapter 1. It was a dark and cold night when a 7-year-old Naruto left the Ichiruka, spelling, ramen bar. The full moon was shining brilliantly that night and he couldn't help but stare at its beauty. The wind blew past him when he realized how cold out it was. He ran and took a turn to take a shortcut through the park. It was really dark and hard to see. However, his hearing was fine and the noise he heard scared him deeply. A howl echoed in the air and the sound of clawed feet could be heard on the sidewalk. Naruto turned around slowly when a set of red eyes greeted him. A wolf made its way forward, growling menacingly. Step by step it came closer before it bent backwards to attack. Naruto didn't stay any longer. He immediately took off running frantically. He could feel the beast's breath on the back of his neck, its footsteps growing louder and louder. The trees whizzed by as he was making a break for the edge of the park. Naruto made a sharp right and regretted it instantly. Ahead of him was a dead end. He slowed down to turn around, but a massive jaw clamped down on his right shoulder and shredded through it. He screamed out in intense pain as he fell to his knees. He made eye contact with the beast. Blue met red as his blood flowed freely from his shoulder. He was losing consciousness. The last thing he heard was a howl in the night air before finally blacking out. Naruto's eyes snapped open as he hopped to his feet, ready to run. He blinked in confusion. Am I alive? He thought. He took off his shirt to look at his shoulder. A grotesque bite mark scar on his upper right chest and shoulder seemed to be the only indication that last night's events were real. He walked home slowly, putting last night behind him, deciding to keep the event to himself since he doubted anyone would care. Little did he know of the battle being fought inside of him. A massive black shadow in the shape of a wolf was banging its head fiercely against bars that appeared to be made of red chakra. The beast gave a loud howl into the dank sewer like mindscape. This is certainly going to be an interesting life, said a large red fox from behind his own bars. The wolf gave another loud howl as it banged again against the red bars. Fight all you like, you aren't getting out. The fox gave a maniacal laughter as both he and the wolf faded out into the darkness of their container's mind. 5 years later, Naruto! Screamed out Sakura as a purple flame-covered hand knocked a young blonde back. His shouts of pain could be heard throughout the forest. A tall snake-like man gave out a laugh as the raven-haired Sasuke charged forth at him. To slow Sasuke-kun, he said as the two started their own fight. In Naruto's mindscape, an ear-piercing howl went through the sewers as the dark shadow passed through the disappearing red chakra bars. Shit! Said the Kyuubi as the shadow began to run through the dank hallways of the young boy's mind. He was running so fast on all fours. He looked forward at the bright silver full moon. He could hear the loud sound of his even-paced pants of breath. He felt so free, so alive. Many scents fill his nose. He was happy, yes happy, but that didn't last long. Slowly the scene in front of him took on a shade of red and he was suddenly angry. Shadows of people made their way into his vision, and without thinking he attacked them. The scene before him changed. No more was there a shade of red in his view. This made him happy, until he looked back at the forms of those he had attacked. Iruka's body lay dead near his paws. Slowly Sakura, Sasuke, Kakashi, and the third's bodies joined him. His blue eyes gazed forward. He was in Konoha. Bodies of young, old, women, men, and children littered the streets in puddles of blood. He let out a scream, but all that came out was a sickening howl. Sakura gave a worried glance back at both her teammates who were burning up for an unknown reason. She had to protect them, that was what she thought as the sound Nin came forth. Listen, all we're here for is to kill Sasuke, said the one covered in bandages. If you let us have him, I promise you won't get hurt. He took a step forward. Sakura charged forth at him, kuni drawn, but she was stopped when a green blur came in front of her. Sakura-san, stay back, I will fight, said the thick-browed boy named Lee. Lee, what are you dash? She was cut off when he charged the enemy, giving out a battle cry. Sasuke stood looking forward at the scene. An eerie purple chakra surrounded him. Sakura, who did that to you? He said as black flame tattoos appeared on his body. I did, stated one of the sound with a grin. But the grin didn't last long as Sasuke was instantly behind him, breaking his arm. All the genin present, which consisted of the sound, Team Guy, Team 10, and Team 7, looked on with slight stares of shock as Sasuke took sick pleasure at breaking his opponent's arms. "You seem to take pride in your arms," stated Sasuke, giving the broken limbs a light twist. "Please let me go," said the trapped sound. Sasuke complied by kicking him in the face, sending him flying towards his team. He was about to move for the kill when a set of arms wrapped around him. "Sasuke-kun, stop," said Sakura. The purple mass of chakra subsided and the boy returned to normal. "Sakura, he was cut off when Dosu spoke. "Here, take our scroll and let us leave," he said, and with that they took off. Ino and the rest all came near Team 7 to check up on them. "Are you all right?" she asked. "Yes, we are now, thank you," replied Sakura. "And thank you, Lee, for helping me." "It was my duty and pleasure, Sakura-san," said Rock Lee. "Come on, Lee, we're going," said Tenten, grabbing Lee's ear. Team Guy left then, leaving the rest to talk. "So what happened?" said Ino. "Why did those guys attack to kill Sasuke?" "We were attacked by Scary Man," said Sakura, shaking at the thought of him. "He did something strange to Sasuke and Naruto," she practically shouted, remembering her other teammate. She quickly made her way over to where her teammate rested. His body was covered in sweat and he was panting hard. Sakura noticed that he looked paler, even his hair seemed lighter, almost the same shade as Ino's. But she dismissed it as a trick of light. "Is the dobe okay?" asked Sasuke with mild concern. "Yeah, I think so," said Sakura. "Well, we're taking off, there is no point in us staying, see ya," said Shikamaru. With that, they left. "Sasuke, you don't think that what happened to you is happening to Naruto, do you?" she asked. Sasuke looked at the girl and then to their blonde teammate. "I'm not sure, I was bit in the neck, he was hit in the stomach," said the young Avenger. "Well, should we check to see if he has that bruise?" she said, pointing to the seal now placed on Sasuke's neck. Sasuke nodded. Sakura then got ready to remove Naruto's shirt. When she realized how awkward it was, she began to blush slightly in embarrassment, thinking of what would happen if Naruto woke up while she was doing it. "Here, I'll do it," said an annoyed Sasuke, walking up to the unconscious form of the blonde. He removed Naruto's jacket and then his black t-shirt. What he saw gave him slight surprise. On his stomach was a large spiral tattoo that looked nothing like the one on his neck, and on his right shoulder was a rather large scar that appeared to have been made by a huge dog. "What is it?" asked Sakura. Sasuke was unsure if she meant the scar of the large spiral tattoo on his stomach. "I'm not sure, but it is nothing like the mark I have," said Sasuke. The two made camp and waited for their teammate to wake up, but slowly fell asleep. Naruto's eyes slowly opened to the smell of strawberry. He turned over and found a mass of pink hair in his face. He got up and blushed when he saw it was Sakura. He noticed Sasuke was on the other side of her. "How long was I out?" he wondered. As he thought this, Sakura opened her eyes. "Naruto, you're okay," she practically shouted, which woke up Sasuke. "About time, Dobe, we were worried," he said. Naruto smiled at those words. "Worried we'd fail, that is." Sasuke recovered. "Shut up, Sasuke team," said Naruto. "Now calm down, you two," said Sakura, but Sasuke and Naruto were still giving each other death glares. "We have to move." They both agreed she was right, this wasn't the time or the place to be doing this. They had arrived, after a final battle with some mist Nins, and some help from Kabuto, they had arrived at the tower. All the team members were physically exhausted, some more than others. They now waited in line for the Hokage to finish his speech. "You all did well to get here, I am very proud of Naruto tuned him out, his mind was deep in thought like it had been all day. He couldn't explain it, but something felt different about him. It was at that time he remembered the dream he had had. Naruto, said a very pissed off Sakura. He blinked and looked up at her. "Yubaka, we have to clear the floor for the fighters." He gave her a questioning look but still followed her up to the balcony. He noticed Sasuke was fighting with some guy he didn't recognize. He leaned against the wall. He was unusually tired at the moment and had trouble focusing. His mind once again wandered to the events that had taken place. He blinked and looked down. Sasuke had won his match. So soon, he thought, and it continued like that with the rest of the fights until finally, Uzumaki Naruto versus Inuzuka Kiba. "Alright, this will be easy, huh boy?" Kiba asked his faithful dog, who seemed to be hiding in his shirt for some reason. What's wrong, Akamaru? You feeling okay? The dog gave no response, it just dug deeper into his shirt. Is he scared of the dead last? He thought, staring up at Naruto, who hadn't moved from the balcony. No, couldn't be. If anything, he is scared of us. Everyone noticed Naruto wasn't acting like himself when he finally came down to fight. He was quiet and seemed to be deep in thought. His expression was unchanging as he stared at Kiba. Well, it seems Akamaru doesn't want to waste his time with you, so I'll fight you alone, said Kiba, getting into his stance. In truth, Kiba couldn't force Akamaru to fight, but no one had to know that. Come on, dead last, show me what you got. Kiba then took off in a burst of speed. Naruto stood still, wide-eyed. He could see Kiba perfectly, in fact better than perfectly. He seemed to be moving in slow motion. In fact, he was so surprised that he didn't move at all to dodge when Kiba hit him. Naruto was sent flying into a wall, making a small crater. You can call the match now, ref, it's over, he won't be getting up, said Kiba. Everyone took note in the sound of relief that was in his voice. I guess there was nothing to worry about, he is still weak, thought Kiba, until he turned around to hear Naruto getting up. What? Naruto stood up and smiled. I was caught by surprise, it won't happen again, Kiba, he said. Everyone looked on, and Naruto with a little bit of shock. Naruto had plastered his fox grin on his face, but inside he was concerned. I didn't feel anything from that hit, what is going on? He thought. Kiba isn't that weak and I am not that strong, so what is it? Naruto brushed the ruble off of him as Kiba came charging forth. He was moving even slower than last time. Without realizing it, Naruto made his hand into a similar position as Kiba's with his fingers sticking out like claws. Kiba thrust his hand forward at Naruto's heart. Before anyone could see, Naruto had his hand up. All his fingers were perfectly aligned on top of Kiba's. The dog boy was stopped in his tracks. Everyone's eyes were wide with shock as Kiba's fingers seemed to fall out of their sockets broken. He gave a roar of pain and was on his knees. Naruto stared at his own hand, which was unharmed. That move took a lot of skill. Observed all the ninja present. Kiba rose to his feet, ready to fight, when a barking sound was heard in the distance. Kiba turned around with his eyes wide. What are saying, Akamaru? I can't just give up, Kiba yelled. Everyone looked at the dog with surprise, especially Team 8. Never had they heard Akamaru tell his master to give up. The dog barked some more and Kiba looked down. I forfeit. The Chunin ref was a little surprised but called the match anyway. Winner Uzumaki Naruto. Chapter 2. Naruto had a sad look on his face as he made his way towards the balcony. Both Sakura and Kakashi gave him worried looks. Hinata walked over to him. Ena Naruto-kun, are you all right? She asked. Don't worry, I'm fine. How's Kiba? Naruto asked. He is fine. Some Brokuken fingers, but the medics say he'll be fine, she stuttered. She then ran back over to her teammate. Naruto, are you feeling okay? You look a little pale, said Kakashi. This was true, his hair seemed even lighter than Ino's. Yeah, I just need to rest a while, that's all, said Naruto, not too enthusiastically. Sensei, can I speak with you alone? Said Sakura, grabbing Kakashi and bringing him away from Naruto. Sensei, in the forest when Sasuke got that strange mark. That man, the snake guy, he did something to Naruto. Kakashi's eyes widened. They had neglected to mention this. There is this huge spiral tattoo on Naruto's stomach now. Kakashi laughed. Sakura, don't worry, that mark was taken care of a long time ago, said Kakashi. But in truth he was wondering if Orochimaru had done anything that might release the Kyuubi. That would explain a lot about the fight I just saw, thought Kakashi. Naruto was leaning against the wall. Despite what they tried, he heard everything Sakura and Kakashi said. In fact, he could hear everybody, the conversation Kiba was having with his team, the Hokage talking with Anko, everything. He looked at his hand and noticed it was shaking. What's happening to me? He thought. Why can I do so much? How could I have understood that dog? Flashback. Kiba, you have to stop now, barked Akamaru. Give up now, please. What are you saying, Akamaru? I can't just give up, said Kiba. Kiba, his sentence, it's not even human. It's scaring me shitless right now, please stop, squeaked the dog. I forfeit, he said. End flashback. Naruto looked across the arena at Kiba, who was looking at him with scared eyes. Naruto became very depressed at this. Not human. I know I'm a container, but I'm still human, aren't I? He thought. Well, I need to start acting like my old self. I don't want everyone to worry. Next fight, Hyuga Niji versus Hyuga Hinata, said the ref. The two left their perches and began the fight or the slaughter. Despite her best efforts, Hinata was being crushed. Come on, Hinata, do your best, shouted Naruto. Despite the battle below, many gave a sigh of relief at the blonde's antics. Maybe he is all right, were the thoughts of many. Niji came charging at Hinata, who was clearly beaten, and struck her in the heart. She went down hard and Niji smirked. He turned around to walk away when he heard a noise. He looked back and saw Hinata struggling to stand. I won't give up, she said, panting heavily. Why? Asked Niji. Because it's my way of the ninja, she said. Niji went ballistic at that point, charging to kill, but was stopped when all the Jounins appeared. Naruto went to ground level by Hinata, who had lost consciousness, but not after a brave and pure display of will. He released killer intent, something he and no one else knew he could do, all directed at Niji. You better pray we don't meet in the finals, stated Naruto in a threatening tone. Regardless of how Niji looked, he was slightly intimidated by the boy's killer intent. Naruto walked back up to the stands after the medics took away Hinata. He didn't know why he cared so much. Maybe it was because Hinata was a good person, and maybe it was because she was probably the only person that was nice to him at the academy. Of course, half the time he couldn't tell what she was saying with all the stuttering. The rest of the fights were nothing special, that is, until Rock Lee fought Gaara. That fight, regardless of how out of it Naruto was amazing. Sadly, Rock Lee lost with a serious injury. After the fights, the genin that passed were standing in front of the Hokage, all except for Sasuke, that is. To Naruto's joy, he was to fight Niji in the finals. Now train hard for the next month, and perform well to honor your villages, said the Hokage. You have 1 month to prepare for the finals. I hope you were paying attention to the fights. It is crucial to study one's opponent, take the information you now know, and train. Goodbye and good luck. They exited the tower and made their way towards town. His team all went to the hospital to visit Sasuke and give him the news of the finals. When they arrived, Naruto started to receive a massive headache but didn't tell anyone. Sakura went into Sasuke's room, leaving Kakashi and Naruto alone. Naruto, Sakura told me about the frost, stated Kakashi. Is your seal okay? To tell you the truth, I don't know, said Naruto. Nothing really feels all that wrong with my seal. It doesn't feel like anything is trying to get out. That's good, I guess, but maybe the Hokage should have a look at it, said Kakashi. Kakashi, I said nothing feels like it's coming out. More like something is coming in, said Naruto. Kakashi's eyes widened. What do you mean, Naruto? Said the Jounin. I'm not sure. I feel like crap, but at the same time I feel stronger than I've ever been, said Naruto. In that fight with Kiba, everything was moving so slow. I could see him perfectly the entire time. When he hit me into the wall, I didn't feel a thing at all. And when I broke his fingers, I did it on instinct, like it was second nature to me. Kakashi just stared at his student with concern. What is happening to him, he thought. Well, let's not worry about it, okay, sensei, said Naruto. I'll let you know if anything bad starts to happen, but in the meantime, can you train me? Finished Naruto, putting both hands above his head together, praying. Sorry, but I need to look after Sasuke. But tell you what, I know someone who can help you, said Kakashi while reading his perverted book. At that moment, Ebisu entered the room. Ah, here he is now. Him! Shouted Naruto at the top of his lungs. But he's weaker than me. I already BEA. Ebisu slammed his hands on Naruto's mouth. Yes, I am your new teacher, said Ebisu. That was close, he thought. Listen, kid, I promise to teach you something really cool if you don't tell anyone about the you-know-what incident, whispered Ebisu. Yeah, right, like you could teach me anything, argued Naruto. Naruto, Ebisu is a trainer of the elite. He is far more qualified with teaching you than I am, stated Kakashi. Whatever, said Naruto, walking away with Ebisu. Kakashi looked on with concern. What the? He's not going to complain anymore? He thought. Naruto, what is bothering you? All right, pervert, so what can you teach me? Asked Naruto. Ebisu pushed up his glasses and began to walk on the water under the bridge they were on. Water walking it is an excellent way to gain better control as well as increase your reserves, said Ebisu. Naruto was about to attempt it when Ebisu spoke up. Not here, I have a more appropriate spot for your training. At the hot springs, Naruto continually fell into the scalding hot water. Why can't I get this? He asked. I'm not sure. Keep trying and maybe dash. He was cut off when he heard someone giggling. Ebisu looked over and saw a tall white-haired man looking in the girl's side of the hot springs. Such shameless acts I cannot allow. He charged at the man, but was quickly defeated by the old man. Hey, old pervert, what do you think you're doing? Asked Naruto, showing mild concern for his unconscious sensei. I am not an old pervert, said the man looking seriously. I am a super pervert, the great frog hermit of the mountains, Jiraiya, and as for what I was doing, I was gathering data for my new book. Naruto's eyes were wide, just staring at the man. So you're a famous pervert? Questioned Naruto. Jiraiya just fell over at this. Kids today have no respect, I tell ya, he said. Hey, if you're strong enough to knock out my sensei, can you teach me? Said Naruto. Jiraiya looked at Naruto carefully. There is something familiar about this brat, thought the Sannin. Hey brat, what's your name anyway? He asked. I am the Uzumaki Naruto, he said, lacking his certain energy as well as his dream to become Hokage. He just really felt bad at the moment and was too tired. So the Kyuubi kid, this could be interesting, he thought. All right brat, I'll teach you a few things, okay? Said Jiraiya. No, that's all wrong, kid, shouted Jiraiya as Naruto fell into the river they were now by. Hey, it's not my fault. For some reason it's really hard to control my chakra right now, said Naruto, especially after what that snake guy did. He whispered that last part so Jiraiya couldn't hear, but he did. Kid, take off your shirt, said Jiraiya. You gay pervert, shouted out Naruto, mortified. Shut up, I just want to check your seal, said Jiraiya. Naruto's eyes widened. How do you know about my seal? Asked Naruto, slightly scared. Because kid, I was the sensei of the guy that put it on you, stated Jiraiya. The look on Naruto's face was priceless. What? Said an almost speechless Naruto. Yeah kid, you heard me, now take off your shirt, he said. Without question, Naruto took it off. Now it was Jiraiya's turn to be surprised as he eyed up the scar on Naruto's shoulder. What the hell, I thought Kyuubi healed all his wounds without a mark. He thought, hey kid, what happened to your shoulder? One of the scariest things of my life, said Naruto as his eyes slightly glazed over. I was 7 when this huge wolf attacked me in the park. It ripped right through me and I blacked out. When I woke it was morning and the wolf was gone. The only proof I have that it ever existed is this scar. Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. Now on with the seal, said Jiraiya. He instantly found the problem and formed the correct counter-seal. His hand glowed blue and he struck Naruto's stomach. But then something he didn't expect happened. The boy passed out. Guess I don't know my own strength, said Jiraiya, flexing his arm. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto awoke in front of a large cage. What the where am I? He asked to himself. We're in you mind kid, and we have a lot to discuss. You're changing into a werewolf, said the Kyuubi a little too casually for Naruto's taste. What? What do you mean a werewolf? Shouted an angry Naruto, realizing who was in front of him. Well, you obviously remember the incident 5 years ago, seeing as how you just talked about it with the pervert, said the Kyuubi. That was a werewolf, said Naruto. The Kyuubi nodded. But why didn't I change back then instead of now? Because the wolf was a disease, and like every disease I protect you from it. However, it was a really strong illness, so I couldn't eliminate it. So I sealed it up with my chakra, he said. But when that snake man placed the other seal on you, you were separated from my chakra and thus the disease was released. But you can seal it up again, can't you? Said Naruto. I'm afraid not kid. Last time I got to it before it spread. Now it's already a part of you, said the Kyuubi. You'll change tonight when the moon is full, and though I don't have a problem with this part you might. You see, you will kill all those precious to you. What do you mean? Said Naruto, shocked. Do you remember that dream you had a few nights ago, kid? Asked the Kyuubi. Naruto nodded. Well, everyone that you saw dead in that dream are the people you are going to kill. But I killed the whole village in that dream, said Naruto. Yep, for reasons I can't fathom you consider this whole village precious to you, said the Kyuubi. Now since I'm sure you will do something noble like take your own life before you kill everyone, thus ending mine, I have a solution but it will be painful. Naruto looked at the fox with hope. What is your solution? He asked. Well, before I tell you, I am going to give you a little history lesson on werewolves, said the Kyuubi. You see, they are lower forms of demons that spread to the humans. The reason why a werewolf is forced to kill his loved ones when he transforms is sort of like a rite of passage. Once their blood is on your fangs, you would have complete control over your wolf half and transform at will. But I can seal off a part of you when you transform. Naruto nodded. The effects of doing this is as follows. 1. When you release the seal I give you, you can transform at any time but only have control so long as your will remains strong. And let me tell you, in your transformed state, it is going to be hard to keep your head straight. 2. Every night of the full moon, the seal will prevent you from transforming and killing everybody, but you will suffer a pain like no other while this is going on. 3. If you lose control of your emotions, the seal will loosen and you will start to turn without control. These are the setbacks, kid. But the rewards of being a lower demon like a werewolf are great. You can switch between human, wolf and wolf hybrid, wolf that stands on 2 legs and has hands, whenever. Your natural strength, speed, and senses will increase tenfold. Plus your appearance will change slightly. Most notable is your hair. The color of your hair is the color of your fur. Understand? Yes, said Naruto. Good, now you might want to tell this Jiraiya, he may be able to help you, said the Kyuubi. Jiraiya was getting a little concerned for the boy. That technique wasn't supposed to knock him out, he thought. Just then the boy shot up, breathing heavily. Are you okay, kid? Asked Jiraiya. Jiraiya, I just met Kyuubi, said Naruto. Jiraiya jerked back at this. He nearly passed out when Naruto explained that he was a werewolf and that the Kyuubi is helping. Well, if anything, I'll stay with you tonight and watch your transformation to make sure nothing gets out of hand, said Jiraiya. Okay, thank you, Jiraiya, said Naruto. Jiraiya was taken aback by this. Is he scared? Wondered Jiraiya. Sasuke was panting fiercely as he stared at the lazy opponent in front of him. It was getting dark. Try again, Sasuke. Then well work on the speed required for the technique, said Kakashi. He charged chakra into his hand, turning it into electricity for 10 seconds before it went away. Good again. Sakura and Ino were on their way back from the hospital after learning that Sasuke wasn't there. They gazed up at the beautiful silver full moon in the sky. It was truly a magnificent sight. There was something magical and symbolic in a full moon. It had started. The pain of the transformation was very intense for Naruto. His face instantly popped forward, turning into a wolf's. His body double in size and his clothes shredded. Jiraiya was unsure if he should be impressed or terrified. The muscles grew on the boy and slowly his entire body was covered in white fur. No more was the seal on his belly. Instead, it seemed to switch into an intricate pattern of black fur on his forehead. Once the transformation was complete, the wolf stood tall and gave out a loud howl before turning to Jiraiya. The creature bowed down as a mass of red chakra began to surround his neck, slowly condensing inward. It then began to take solid shape, and the final form was that of a small silver cross on a necklace. The body of the wolf seemed to burn when it came into contact with the necklace. Slowly it began to turn back into the boy it was. After it was over, a young boy laid unconscious in front of him. He looked a lot different, that was for sure. The boy now had long white hair spiked up, like Virgil from Devil May Cry 3 or that one captain with the ice sword in Bleach. His baby fat was non-existent, all that was there was lean muscle. But he was still not overly built. Well, this will certainly turn out interesting, Naruto, said Jiraiya to the unconscious boy in front of him. Chapter 3. Naruto woke to the smell of fried fish. He turned his head and saw a white-haired man cooking over a fire. Jiraiya, how long was I out? Asked Naruto. Just the night, kid, he replied. Naruto got up and looked down at himself. His clothes were completely shredded. You may want to buy yourself some new clothes a little later. Naruto began to eat the fish in front of him by the mouthful. It was really good and he was extremely hungry. Everything was going fine until a certain voice spoke in his head. "Hey kid, how's it going?" said the QB. Naruto spit out all his food as he began to choke and cough. "QB!" he shouted, scaring Jiraiya. "Where are you?" "In your head, kid. You don't have to shout, I can hear you just fine if you think it," said the fox. "But how?" asked a nervous Naruto. "I decided to do a little something extra while I was sealing off the wolf. It's not all that bad now, we can talk whenever I want," he said cheerfully. "Are you serious? Just great, now I got a fox in my head," said Naruto. "Oh well. Guess you could at least make yourself useful and help me train." "Whatever, now listen and listen good," said the fox. "Since you are my vessel and now a lower demon, I expect you to find something else to wear than that atrocious orange jumpsuit." "Hey, fine by me if you can pay for it," said Naruto sarcastically. The only reason he wore that jumpsuit was because it was all he had. He couldn't afford to buy more clothes than he needed, and that jumpsuit happened to be the cheapest thing he found. "Ask that pervert to lend you some money," said QB. "Oh, and one more thing, buy yourself a sword. Have it made from silver." "What, why?" asked Naruto. "Because kid, silver is a werewolf's one true weakness. While in human form it shouldn't harm you, but it should help suppress your wolf side, so even if you start to lose control, the silver should help stop you," explained the QB. "Oh, okay," said Naruto. Jiraiya, who had been watching Naruto have a conversation with himself, coughed to gain Naruto's attention. "Not to interrupt or anything, but mind telling me what's going on?" asked Jiraiya. Naruto looked at him, embarrassed to have been talking out loud to QB. "Well, QB says I should find someone to make me a sword out of silver, as well as get some new clothes," said Naruto. "A silver sword is going to be very expensive. How do you expect to pay for it?" asked Jiraiya, already having a pretty good idea. "Well, you see, I was kinda hoping you would pay for it," said Naruto with a sheepish grin. Jiraiya gave a loud sigh. He probably had more than enough money in his bank account, and who was he to turn the boy down? "Fine, I'll pay, but you're on your own for the clothes, bud, and I expect you to find the smith for the sword," said Jiraiya. "Okay," he said. "I probably have enough saved up for some new clothes," he thought. "Yeah, I'll help you pick, kid," said the fox in his head. "All right then, kid. If it's okay with you, I would like to supervise the rest of your training, as well as observe you in your wolf form. Is that all right?" said Jiraiya. "Yeah, it's fine, I guess, so long as you actually teach me something," said Naruto. "Fair enough. Now I suggest you go home and get money for new clothes immediately. You probably should look in a mirror as well," said the perverted hermit. "You got it, Ero Sennin," said Naruto, running towards town to his home. He made it there pretty quickly. He instantly went to his stash and was happy to find a large amount of money waiting for him. He was about to leave when he remembered what Ero Sennin said. He went to the bathroom to look at himself and gave a small yelp at his appearance. His hair was now white and it went up in neat spikes instead of the messy ones he used to have. His eyes were still the deepest sky blue, but now he had slit pupils. His baby fat was gone too and now was all lean muscle. Much to his surprise, his whisker marks had faded out a little. You probably wouldn't notice them unless you knew they were there. "Well, now that's interesting," said Naruto. "The wolf seems to be more dominate over your appearance than I am," said QB. "Huh, that's weird. Oh well, time to shop," he said as he went through his door. Walking down the street, he received strange looks, probably because no one recognized him and maybe because his clothes were all torn and you could see a lot of his skin. Finally, he arrived at a clothing store and went inside, where he was greeted by the clerk. "How may I help you, sir?" he asked. "I need some new clothes," said Naruto. "I can see that, follow me," said the clerk. Naruto specified what he wanted as the clerk measured him. He came back a little while later with a couple of sets of clothing and a blue trench coat. He went into the changing room and put them on. When he came out, he wore a sleeveless black undershirt, black cargo pants, and normal ninja sandals. He had the blue trench coat on with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows, and he wore black fingerless gloves on his hands. He paid the clerk and left the store. On his was to find the smith. He noticed even more stares. These ones caught his interest because it was mainly the female population staring as well as drooling. He had a silent laugh to himself at this. He came across an old shop with weapons of high-class design on display. This was the shop he was looking for. "Excuse me, sir, are you the smith?" asked Naruto. "Yes, I am. What can I do for you?" said a tall brown-haired man. "I was wondering if you could make me a sword," said Naruto. "Sure, no problem there. What kind?" he said. "I need a high-class katana with the blade completely made of silver," said Naruto. The shop owner just looked at him a little intrigued. "With a material like silver, I'd have to find it, order it, forge it, clean it, as well as coat it so it doesn't rust, stain, or age. All that can get pretty expensive, are you sure?" asked the smith. "Don't worry, I can afford it," said Naruto. "How soon can it be ready?" "I'd say about 2 weeks or so," replied the smith. Naruto nodded. "I'll come for it then with the money," he said. As he was leaving the store, he ran into a girl with her brown hair in buns. She was knocked over. "Sorry, I didn't see you." Naruto reached down his hand and helped her up. "No, it's okay, I wasn't watching where I was going," she said with a smile. He looked at her and nodded. He then turned around to leave. "Tenten, welcome home. How was training?" said the smith from inside the store. "Hard as usual. Who was that boy in our store?" she asked, looking at the retreating back of the white-haired boy. "A new high-paying customer. He wants a high-class katana made entirely of silver," said the smith. Tenten gave a low whistle. "Yeah, that's what I thought." 2 weeks went by. In a flash. Naruto had been training non-stop in the forest the entire time. He tested his new limits to their maximum and found that he was maybe 10 times stronger, faster, and overall smarter than he was before the transformation. He quickly got used to switching his form from wolf to hybrid. Kyubi had been expanding his chakra pathways as well. He still had trouble controlling himself fully in his werewolf state. A couple of times he took it too far and almost went on a rampage. Luckily, he was deep in the forest and the Kyubi was able to seal it off with the necklace in time. He was now on his way back to the store for his sword. Jiraiya had given him a large sum of money for it. When he arrived, the same girl he knocked over when he first went there greeted him. "Hello, you must be here for your sword," said the Tenten. "Yes, is it ready?" he asked. She nodded and took a wrapped bundle out from under the counter. "Here you are," she said with a slight gleam in her eyes as she unsheathed the blade in front of the boy. It sparkled in the light and looked flawless. "My dad says it's one of the best he's made, so take care of it." She handed the blade over to Naruto, who admired it fondly. "Thank you," he said, giving her a smile. She blushed slightly at this as he left. She thought only one thing: damn, he's hot. Naruto trained diligently with the blade ever since. Kyubi knew a few things about sword handling which he shared. Jiraiya had kept good to his word and taught Naruto to summon. With Kyubi's help, he could easily summon Gambunta. But as the Chunin finals approached, a thought went through Naruto's mind. "Kyubi, if I bite someone, will they turn into a werewolf too?" he asked. "Normally you would pass on the disease, but since you got me, I'll prevent you from spreading it to anyone you don't want to," said the demon. Naruto was a little relieved by this. He didn't want to be creating monsters every time he bit someone in a fight with his fangs. Only 2 more days remained until his fight with Neji, and Naruto was more than prepared for it. He couldn't wait to kick that guy's ass. 2 cloaked figures stood outside the gates of Konoha. One had black hair and red eyes with slit pupils. Beside him, his companion with violet eyes, also slit pupils, spoke. "You're sure you felt it here?" said the voice that was obviously feminine. "Yes, I'm sure," said the red-eyed one. "I wonder who it is that bit the one we're looking for?" "It's likely someone out of the pack got to whoever it is we're trying to find," said the violet-eyed girl. "Maybe, I guess we'll just have to find out," said the red-eyed boy. They then disappeared over the walls before the shinobi even knew they were at the gates. "Well, today's the day," said Naruto, getting up from his breakfast with Erosenin. "Good luck, kid, you'll need it, and let me give you some advice on the Chunin exam," said Jiraiya. Naruto looked at him. "It is not a test of power, but whether you show the maturity as well as skill to be a Chunin." Naruto gave him a puzzled look. "What do you mean?" asked Naruto. "What I mean is outsmart your opponent. Take him down as quickly and as effectively as possible," finished the perverted hermit. "Okay," said Naruto as he left for the stadium. Naruto was making his way through the trees, the stadium in sight. He would be arriving shortly. He was about to speed up when he saw someone out of the corner of his eye. He jumped down behind the person. "Hinata, is that you?" he asked. The girl gave a jump and turned around to meet the person behind her. She stared at the mysterious white-haired boy. "Yes, I am Hinata. Who are you?" she asked curiously to the strange boy. Even though he seemed nice, he looked rather intimidating. She couldn't read his face. "Are you serious? It's me, Naruto," he said. She looked really shocked and disbelieving at him. "What? Naruto has blonde hair, and he looks a lot different than you," she accused. "Yeah, well, I went through some changes in my training, but I don't think I'm that different," said Naruto. Hinata gazed into his eyes and saw the same determination she always admired, and upon closer inspection she noticed faded whisker marks. "Whoa, Naruto, you've changed a lot," she said. "Yeah, I guess. But anyway, how are you? I didn't get the chance to see you in the hospital. Are you all right now?" he asked. She nodded. "Occasionally I will have a little coughing fit, but other than that I am fine," she said. "That's good to hear. Are you on your way to the stadium?" said Naruto. "Yes, I am. Good luck," she said. "Thanks. Well, I got to get going. Just wanted to stop and see if you were doing all right," he said as he turned around to leave. "You know, it's a lot easier to talk to you now that you don't stutter." Hinata blushed at that and he left. "I didn't even realize I had stopped," she thought. "He's gotten even cuter." The arena was filled with spectators. The entire village was there, as well as many of the feudal lords. They all waited for the fights to start. Many had come specifically to see the last Uchiha fight. Near the front row, two cloaked figures sat watching the events with mild interest. "Do you sense him?" asked the female. "No, whoever he is, he not only hides his scent but his power too, but I am sure he is still in this village," said the red-eyed male. "Have you gotten any leads as to who he might be?" "None really, but I have heard a lot about this Uchiha fellow that is supposed to be fighting," said the violet-eyed girl. "Apparently he is some sort of prodigy, and he seems more like someone that could survive the transformation." "Let's keep our eyes open then," said the male. The competitors entered the ring in front of the ref. All were there except for Sasuke and Naruto. A pink-haired girl in the stands instantly took note of this. "Where are Sasuke-kun and Naruto?" she asked to the blonde girl beside her. "I don't know," she replied. Many of the people in the stands wondered the same thing. On the arena floor, a certain pale-eyed boy smirked. So that boy was all talk and ran. He must have realized it was useless. He thought, but that thought, as well as the entire stadium, was quickly silenced as a mysterious white-haired boy walked into the arena. He wore a blue trench coat and carried a katana in his hand. He made his way silently to the others. All the shinobi as well as the cloaked figures felt the chakra that the necklace around his neck gave off. He then stood with the others. "Excuse me, sir, but only competitors are supposed to be here," said the ref. "I know that. I am a competitor. I'm Uzumaki Naruto," said the stranger. The arena was so quiet at the time that everyone in the stands heard his declaration. The Hokage in the stands looked at the boy and was about to have him removed when a poof came from beside him. On his left, he saw his former pupil Jiraiya. "Jiraiya, what are you doing here?" asked the Hokage. "Just came to inform you that the person down there is Uzumaki Naruto. He was with me and I saw him change," said the Sannin. The Hokage looked shocked. "There are also a few more things I need to discuss with you about him." Another poof sounded on the other side of the Hokage. The ref asked for his opinion on the matter. "That boy is Uzumaki Naruto. Let him fight," said the Hokage. The ref disappeared to the arena floor. "All right then, Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Niji, please stay on the arena floor for your match," said the ref. Most of the crowd reacted to this in shock, that the boy who gave off such a powerful aura was in fact Uzumaki Naruto. "Are you kidding me? That's Naruto," said Ino to Sakura. Sakura was just speechless as she stared at her teammate worriedly. "Why does he look that way? Does it have something to do with what happened in the forest?" she thought. "That hunk is the blonde boy from the Chunin Exams," shouted Tenten in her mind. "Is he going to use the sword my father made to hurt Niji?" "Begin," said the ref. The two fighters took their stances. "It doesn't matter if you changed your look, a dead last is still a dead last," said Neji. "You were fated to lose this match the second I was picked as your opponent." "Whatever, I don't really believe in fate," said Naruto. Neji became slightly angry at this and charged forth Byakugan activated. Without even forming the hand seals, two shadow clones appeared and attacked him. One slid in with a kick and the other attacked from the air. With his bloodline active, he easily took care of the low clone and the high clone. But as the low one disappeared, he saw an exploding tag under his feet. He barely got away as it blew. From the smoke, another clone attacked. He threw a kunai knife which hit the ground some feet in front of him. A complete miss. The clone then landed behind him and attacked with a kick. Neji was about to destroy it when he noticed the wire in its hand. The clone tugged on the string as it kicked, and with his Byakugan he saw the kunai, which was now to his back, pick up and come towards him with an exploding tag attached. The clone in front of him then proceeded to throw more kunai while still in mid-kick. Neji was about to dodge when he saw kunai flying in from both his sides as well. Apparently 2 more shadow clones had appeared and threw them while he was distracted. The attacks were coming in from all sides, no escape in sight. Kaiten shouted Neji as he began spinning like a top, deflecting all the projectiles as well as the clone that was coming towards him. The crowd was in shock at the battle that was taking place. The 2 Chunins who were judging were also impressed. "That was brilliant strategy by Naruto. If the Hyuga didn't know that technique, this fight would be over," said one to his partner. "Yes, and even if the strategy failed, he still forced the Hyuga to reveal his trump card," said the other Chunin. "It seems we found our first applicant for Chunin." Neji just smirked. Even though he had been forced to show one of his trump cards, he still hoped the display of defense would make his opponent nervous. He was upset, however, to see the boy hadn't moved from his spot since they began. "You see it is hopeless, don't you? You will never get past my defense," said Neji. "You are fated to lose." He then proceeded to attack again, bringing his palm to his opponent's heart. He and everyone else in the stadium were surprised to see his target poof out of existence. A clone, but when did he make that? Was the thought on everyone's mind. Neji blinked and suddenly 20 Narutos that seemed to have appeared out of thin air surrounded him. 10 of them completely surrounded him while the other 10 stood from a distance on the stadium wall or in the trees on the arena floor, kunai in hand. They all started attacking at once. Neji quickly took care of 4 of the clones around him, but smoke bombs being thrown by the ones at a distance prevented him from getting to the other. He felt the presence of several closing in on him. He then began to spin in the Kaiten. The smoke was blown away and many of the clones vanished on impact. Immediately after he stopped spinning, he threw his own kunai at the remaining clones, making them all poof. The real Naruto came running at him with unreal speed before Neji could block. He was kicked in the face. He skidded for a bit but then got his footing back. He jabbed outward, hitting and advancing Naruto in the arm. He jumped back. "There is no way I am going to lose to someone like you who blames everything on fate," said Naruto, taking his stance. "Shut up. You know nothing of what I've been through," yelled Neji, taking off his forehead protector, revealing a seal. "This is my fate, to forever serve the main family. Regardless of how strong I become, I will never be able to escape the cage they put me in. I am to forever serve them even though they took my father. How could you possibly know what it's like to have such a curse?" "I will win this fight, it is fate," said Neji. "You are within my divination field. 64 strikes," he shouted as he began bombarding Naruto with his attack. 2 strikes, 4 strikes, 8 strikes, 16 strikes, 32 strikes, 64 strikes. Naruto was sent flying backward onto the arena floor. Everyone in the crowd was staring with expectation in their eyes. "Call the match, ref, he won't be getting up," said Neji as he turned around to leave, but stopped when he heard a noise from behind him. He looked back and saw the white-haired boy standing. Once up, he dropped his sword to the ground. Neji wondered why he had not used it. He then took off his blue trench coat. "I know all too well what it's like to have a curse you didn't ask for," said Naruto, removing his shirt. Everyone in the audience gasped at the tremendous scar on his upper chest. He then took off his forehead protector and stared at it. "What are you doing? Why are you removing your forehead protector?" asked Neji. "Because, Neji, I dare not wear that symbol with what I'm about to do," he said, dropping it in the pile of clothes beside him. I'll show you Niji my curse. He then reached to the cross-shaped necklace and yanked it off. Niji, the audience, the ninjas, the cloaked figures, even the Hokage stared at him curiously. They all sensed the necklace held some kind of power. Naruto then dropped the necklace to the ground. Instantly everyone went wide-eyed as a small crater formed around the boy. He was breathing fast and heavily. Everyone jumped as they saw his clothes shred and his body start to change. He gave a low growl as he grew a dazzling white coat of fur. His body doubled in size and Niji could only stand still in fright as he took the form of a wolf. When he was done, he let out a fierce howl that shook the whole arena. Niji was completely paralyzed with fear. The wolf stared at him with blue eyes and disappeared in an instant. Niji was slammed into the wall by the force of the blow but remained standing. It could be because he was hit straight up before he had time to fall down. The wolf hybrid appeared beside him in the air and kicked him to the ground. He bounced as he skidded on the ground. He got up slowly to see the monster running towards him. He out of instinct thrust his hand out to hit the beast, but it changed into a complete wolf, thus putting it under his strike. It bit onto his arm and kicked up off the ground, turning Niji's arm with its teeth. As the wolf was above him, it changed back into the hybrid form. It did a back flip and kicked Niji in the jaw, sending him upward at an unbelievable height above the crowd. The audience watched as the beast turned back into the wolf form and ran up the side of the wall at shocking speed that many couldn't follow. It jumped from the top of the wall outward, placing it above Niji. It turned back into the hybrid form. Everyone gasped as the sky turned pitch black, and the sun turned to a full moon. The hybrid came down and hit the Hyuga in both arms and legs, before grabbing him and bringing him crashing to earth. Everyone turned away. They knew the Hyuga wouldn't survive the blow to the floor. The whole arena shook as smoke and debris rose from the where they landed. They looked forward at the smoke, waiting to see the beast over the dead Hyuga. The smoke cleared and the audience became speechless. What they saw was not what they expected. The wolf stood in the center of the crater he had just created, holding Niji in his clawed hand. He had not finished the attack. He never slammed him down into the ground, which would have finished Niji off. The hybrid let go of Niji, who fell to his knees staring at the monster with shock. He couldn't move his arms or legs. They were numb, most likely out of the joints. The wolf then walked over to the pile of clothes that were his and picked up the silver cross necklace. Everyone took note that when the beast touched it, it appeared to burn his hand as steam rose from it. The creature gave a low growl as he put the necklace on. The form shrunk back to the handsome white-haired boy. His pants were completely shredded but still enough covered. He put on his trench coat, effectively covering him. "I won, Judge. He won't be able to move for a while," he said, facing the ref. What was that thing?" asked Niji on his knees. The whole crowd was silent, waiting for Naruto to speak. "We all carry a curse, Niji, some of us more than others," said Naruto. "The only difference between you and me is I fight my curses with everything I have." The boy walked away without looking back, leaving a stunned crowd behind him. "It's him, he's the one we were looking for," said the female cloaked figure. "Brother, did you see his power was dash?" "Yes, I saw. We can't make our move now. There is something different about him," said the red-eyed male. "We should leave and get the pack, then observe him." The girl looked shocked. "The whole pack," she said. "You saw his power. He was holding back. He is a white fur, the rarest of the rare, and more or less he's an alpha," said the red-eyed male, gritting his teeth. Chapter 4. Sakura was scared out of her mind right now. What happened to him? Why is he so different? What was that thing? She thought his words still played in her head. "We all carry a curse, Niji, some of us more than others. The only difference between you and me is I fight my curses with everything I have." "Naruto, what's happened to you?" she thought, once again seeing the retreating form of the white-haired boy. "Jiraiya, you have some explaining to do," said the Hokage. His former student sighed. "I don't fully understand it myself, but apparently Naruto has become a werewolf," said Jiraiya. "That scar on his upper chest was where he was bitten some years ago. Apparently when Orochimaru engaged his team in the forest, the wolf was released." I see this will be a problem. People will think it is the work of the Kyuubi," said the Hokage. "Yes, it will be, but for now enjoy the fights. I have some business to attend to," said Jiraiya, grinning like a pervert. He then disappeared in a poof of smoke. The Kazekage let out a sigh. Is something wrong? Asked the Hokage, noticing the man's actions. No, it is nothing, said the Kazekage. That was close. I don't think I could have taken both the third and Jiraiya, thought Orochimaru disguised as the Kazekage. But still, what an interesting turn of events. Naruto-kun is a werewolf. This may require some research. Naruto made his way up the steps, holding his shirt and sword in one hand, to join the other competitors. He was scared at what Shikamaru would say. Despite if they never really hung out, he still considered him a friend because he was nice to him during the academy days. He slowly ascended the steps, but stopped. Something wasn't right. He could smell it. He turned around to see the red-headed Sannin Gaara staring at him. Uzumaki Naruto, my mother wants your blood, said Gaara. Sand slowly came out of his gourd. He was about to step forward when he was stopped. Naruto observed a shadow attached to Gaara's. Success, said Shikamaru, stepping from the shadows. The sand around Gaara kept moving and went for Shikamaru. Naruto quickly acted and unsheathed his blade. He cut through the sand with ease as it burst onto the floor. Shikamaru released his hold on Gaara. This isn't over, Uzumaki. Mother still wants your blood, said Gaara, disappearing in a swirl of sand. Hey, you okay, Naruto? Asked Shikamaru. Naruto gave him one of his fox grins, which he still was unaware looked scary with his new look, but all the same is relieved Shikamaru. Yeah, I'm fine, you Shikamaru, said Naruto, noticing Shikamaru give out a sigh of relief. He was scared of me. Can you blame him? Said the Kyuubi. I am fine as well, Naruto. I think we should get back with the others, he said. Naruto nodded. The two began to walk towards the waiting area with each other. But Naruto noticed how tense Shikamaru still seemed. Shikamaru, are you scared of me? Asked Naruto, already knowing the answer, but was surprised by what happened next. No, not at all. Being scared of someone like you would be far too troublesome. SSID Shikamaru. No, what scared me was that Gaara kid. By the way, thanks for helping me out. Naruto just looked at him very happily. Maybe there is nothing to worry about. Maybe no one even cares that I'm a werewolf, he thought. Naruto walked into the waiting room, which consisted of a small room with one big window overlooking the arena. Naruto instantly felt eyes on him, and noticed almost everyone in the stands staring through the window at him. Spoke too soon, he thought. He noticed that both the ninja from the sand were giving him awkward stares. Is he a monster like Gaara? Thought Kankuro. He bears the same fate as Gaara, doesn't he? Thought Temari. The longer she stared, the more her eyes traveled to his exposed chest. She blushed fiercely. What am I doing? He will most likely be my enemy very soon, and I'm staring at his chest. Sasuke still hadn't showed up for his fight yet, a fact which only the ref seemed to notice. Everyone in the crowd was just as scared and shocked about the last fight to notice anything at the moment. The ref teleported to the Hokage. Hokage-sama, the Uchiha still hasn't arrived yet. What should I do? He asked. Go to the next match, we will wait for him, said the Hokage, not giving it much thought. The ref went to the arena floor with a poof. Next match, Nara Shikamaru versus Temari, he said. The two went down to the arena floor and began their match. More or less, it was a great match. Shikamaru proved to be a brilliant strategist as he backed Temari in a corner. He technically won the match, but he gave up, saying he was too low on chakra. The two Chunin judges both were smiling. Looks like we have another Chunin to sign up, said one. The other just nodded. Kankuro forfeited his match to Shino, and finally Sasuke showed up with Kakashi just in time for his match. Naruto, who had been on the arena floor to help Shikamaru back to the stands, greeted him. So the great Uchiha decides to grace us with his presence, said Naruto jokingly. What kept you, Sasuke team? I'm sorry, do I know you? Asked Sasuke to the person with an eyebrow raised. Only one person calls me team, and he looks nothing like him, he thought. Don't tell me you've gotten too big to remember your teammate, said Naruto, but the realization dawned upon him, remembering how different he looked. Oh, sorry, I do look a lot different. It's me, Naruto. Naruto, trying to look tough dope, said Sasuke. Yeah, Sasuke team, keep talking. It will be that more embarrassing for you when you lose in our fight, said Naruto. Sasuke gave a smirk. You do look strong, dope, don't disappoint me, said Sasuke. Naruto left with Shikamaru as Gaara came down for the fight. The crowd fell silent as the battle started. Sand instantly fell from Gaara's gourd and began to surround him. Sasuke ran forward at rather impressive speed. As he dodged Gaara's sand, he spun in, pivoting on his foot past Gaara's defense and deliver an upward kick. This continued for the duration of the fight. Sasuke was getting faster and faster, but an experienced shinobi could see he was tiring. Finally, Gaara formed a sphere of sand all around his body. When Sasuke tried to get close, Spike jettisoned from it. Sasuke jumped back far up to the arena wall. He then began to mold his chakra and perform hand seals. Lightning started to gather around his hand. He stayed up on the wall, gathering energy for the attack. Naruto stared at the attack and then at Kakashi, who was on the other side of the arena next to Sakura. "What is that technique, Kakashi-sensei?" asked Sakura. "That is my own original jutsu, the Chidori. It allows the user to move at high speeds and use the full power of the thrust," said Kakashi. Sakura stared at Sasuke in amazement that he now knew such a powerful jutsu. But then another thought entered her mind. "Kakashi-sensei, what is the technique you taught Naruto?" she asked. I didn't teach Naruto any technique, Sakura. I had someone else teach him while I taught Sasuke," said Kakashi. "Why, what technique did he use?" "It was the scariest, most amazing technique I'd ever seen," said Sakura. This instantly caught Kakashi's attention. "He turned into a wolf." Kakashi's sweat dropped. "Is that all, Sakura? That's just a henge, it's nothing special," said Kakashi. "No, sensei, it wasn't henge. He didn't create the illusion of being a wolf, he literally became one," she said. "His body completely changed. He was so fast and strong after he did it. He even became some kind of hybrid thing that was like a wolf that stood on two legs." Kakashi looked at her and then at Naruto, who was watching the fight on the other side of the arena. He could see from here that his clothes were shredded save for his blue trench coat. He truly became curious at this. "Naruto, what have you learned?" he thought. Sasuke charged at the sphere, dodging the spikes coming out of it. He then thrust his lightning-covered hand at it. It pierced the thick shell and a howl of pain was heard from it. The people fell silent as they stared at the two combatants. Suddenly, a large demonic-looking hand shot from the hole in the sphere. Sasuke jumped back to avoid it. The Kazekage then gave the signal. Kabuto, who was nearby, performed a jutsu which caused feathers to fall from the sky. All the villagers were put to sleep, as were some inexperienced shinobi. Both the Kazekage and the Hokage jumped to the roof of the arena to fight. The Kazekage then revealed himself to be Orochimaru. They then began to fight. Sound and Sand Ninja appeared behind Naruto. He noticed that the Sand Trio ran out towards the forest. Sasuke gave chase to them. The ninja behind him drew closer to him. He grabbed the hilt of his blade and jumped out of the window above the arena floor. Kakashi was defending Sakura and the sleeping civilians. As ninja attacked, he quickly disposed of them. He saw Naruto jump from the room he was in and 3 Chunin level of both Sound and Sand jump out after him. He was about to go help when he saw his student hold his sword. He looked into Naruto's sky-blue eyes, which seemed more icy as he expertly unsheathed his sword. The Chunin were dead before they hit the ground. Naruto then proceeded to cut away at ninja that were attacking him on the arena floor. He danced with his sword in beautiful rhythm, each step flawless. It was a dance of death as blood flowed from enemies. Kakashi couldn't help but wonder who had taught Naruto to be so proficient with a sword. Kakashi looked behind him and Sakura, who was now next to Nara Shikamaru. "Sakura, Shikamaru, go after Sasuke, he chased down the Sand Genin," said Kakashi, fending off more attackers. "But sensei, what about you and Naruto?" she said, staring at the white-haired boy on the arena floor effortlessly kill someone. She was quite unnerved by this. "I never thought I would see Naruto kill someone so easily without remorse. Has he really changed that much?" she thought. "I will send Naruto to go with you guys later. Right now, he is fighting to protect the people in the stands and can't get away," said Kakashi. "Go ahead without him, he will catch up." Sakura gave a nod as she and Shikamaru went off after Sasuke. Naruto continued to cut through the enemy. "Protect, I'm killing them to protect everyone," he chanted repeatedly inside his head as he killed some more Sound Nin. "That's right, kid. It's either them or everyone you care about," said the fox. Naruto then went back to back with Kakashi as they became surrounded by 10 shinobi. "How many do you want, Naruto?" asked Kakashi. "I'll take the 4 in front of me and the 1 to your left because I saw him undressing Sakura with his eyes before she left," said Naruto. Kakashi gave a small chuckle. "Fine, I'll take the rest and go," he said. The two went at the enemy with blinding speed as one by one they fell dead. "Listen, Naruto, when this is all over I want to talk to you about that wolf technique Sakura said you did. But right now go find Sasuke. Sakura and Shikamaru are already giving chase. Kill any enemies that threaten the villagers." "Sure thing, sensei," said Naruto, running out of the arena. He stopped when he found no enemies around. He removed his trench coat, leaving him topless. He sheathed his sword and tied it to his back. He then grabbed the silver cross-shaped necklace and yanked it off. This time, when he threw it to the ground, it disappeared into red chakra. He instantly went to his full wolf form. He stood on all fours with his sheathed sword tied to his back. He looked like some sort of ninja dog/wolf. He then ran at god-like speed towards the scent of his comrades. He managed to save a few citizens along the way, all of which just thought he was one of the Inuzuka family's dogs. He continued to run towards the familiar scent of Sasuke. 5 minutes. It only took him 5 minutes in his wolf form to make it to the battlefield where Gaara was fighting Sasuke. Sakura was pinned to a tree by some giant sandhand. And Sasuke looked exhausted, as black flame tattoo marks adorned his body. Sasuke eyed the mysterious wolf that showed up. Its white fur and sword made it look like some sort of holy creature to him. The spiral mark of black fur that was on the creature's forehead showed that this was indeed no ordinary wolf. "Uzumaki, is that you? Mother wants blood. Come give me that delicious wolf blood of yours," said a crazed monster that had once been Gaara. "Naruto. That can't be Naruto, it's clearly a real wolf," thought Sasuke. Naruto eyed the surroundings. Sakura was pinned, and not too far from her was Temari hiding from Gaara. Sasuke was a couple of feet away from Gaara. As for Gaara himself, he seemed to be ignoring Sasuke and coming for him. The wolf jumped to the side to avoid the huge sand claw that crashed into the tree limb that he was just standing on. Naruto ran forward and tore completely through Gaara's sand arm. A large tail appeared out of nowhere and slammed into him. He flew back and crashed into a tree, creating a small crater in it. Gaara launched himself at him as his hands were turning into spikes. He pushed them forward. Naruto jumped in the air above him and switched to his hybrid form. He noticed Sasuke's expression when he did this. He brought his claws down hard on to Gaara, shredding through the protective sand. Gaara gave a sickening howl of pain. Suddenly Gaara began sucking in air as mouths appeared all over his body. He then blasted the concentrated air current at Naruto. Naruto jumped over it and noticed it going towards the sand nean. Naruto didn't know why, but he noticed by looking into Temari's eyes that she didn't deserve to die here. He rushed towards her and grabbed a hold of her just in time to get out of the way of the air current. She was surprised that he had saved her. He placed her down by Sasuke and continued his fight with Gaara. Naruto gathered tons of chakra into his claws. He was currently flying through the air towards Gaara. He slashed the air and a blade of pure energy shot from his claw, cutting through Gaara. Gaara shouted out in pain again. This time, though, his sand rose like a mountain and surrounded him. No longer was he the size of men. He was above the trees. Heck, he was above the Hokage monument at this point. More sand rushed towards Naruto. He jumped into the air and in his hybrid form started to perform some seals. "Kyuucho's no jutsu," said Naruto in a more beastly voice. Instantly he was on top of the head of a giant frog. "Gamabunta, I need your help." "It would seem so, kid. Don't worry, I'm on it," said Gamabunta. "And when this is all over we are having a drink. And I don't care if you're underage, you're mature enough for it." Gamabunta shot forth and spit several water balls out at Gaara. He did his best to block, but it was obvious that he was hurt. He threw his sand arm out at the pair. Gamabunta took his large dagger and chopped through it. But the resistance the arm put up caused Gamabunta to drop his dagger. The fight continued on and the landscape was being changed drastically. Naruto and hinged Gamabunta into a fox and clinked onto Gaara. Naruto then jumped on the Gant sand head and punched Gaara in the face with all his force. Gaara was blown back as the giant sand body collapsed. Gamabunta disappeared, having used all of his chakra. Naruto was panting heavily on top of a tree, so was Gaara. They both charged and delivered their last punches. They both landed on the ground hard. A circle of red chakra appeared around Naruto's neck. As it started to make the necklace. "Time to change back, kid. You're getting tired and I can feel you losing yourself," said Kyubi. Naruto gave a shout of pain as the necklace burned his skin. He was unable to hold his pain in like he had Niji's fight because he was so exhausted. Once he changed back, he crawled over to Gaara to end the fight. Why do you push yourself?" asked Gaara. "It's obvious you are being put through a lot of pain, so why hurt yourself even more to help them?" Naruto kept crawling. It was obvious to anyone that was looking that by his state he should be unconscious. "Because regardless of what they think, they are the only thing keeping me sane," said Naruto. Gaara's eyes widened. "I know just like you what it's like to be hated for something you didn't ask for. But now there are people I want to protect and now I don't feel so hated. They saved me from my hell. Without them I have nothing to live for." Gaara started to laugh loudly. "You think so? Maybe you're right, Uzumaki Naruto," said Gaara. "Maybe you're right." Gaara was taken away by the sand siblings in an instant. Naruto looked back at Sakura and noticed the sand around her had disappeared. "Temari, Kankura, I'm sorry for everything," said Gaara. The sand siblings looked at their brother. "It's all right, Gaara, really," said Kankuro, not sure how to react. "Why, yes, don't worry about it," said Temari. "Thank you," said Gaara. The Umbu and Jounins stood around the fallen body of their Hokage. The old man had a smile on his face as he had a spiral seal around his navel. "This is terrible," said an Umbu captain. "In a time like this we will need to find a new Hokage quickly," said another. "Yes, but who?" said the captain. Chapter 5. The rain pelted down on the enormous crowd of black. Just about everyone was at the Hokage's funeral mourning the loss of such a great man. Naruto stood amongst the crowd wearing black, with a sad look on his face. Many had given him awkward glances as to why he was here. But how could he not be? The old man had meant more to him than anyone else in the village. Konohamaru was weeping openly in Iruka's arms. Naruto looked at the boy with a heartbroken expression. Slowly, one by one, the villagers placed flowers on the old man's coffin. Naruto placed a red rose on the place where the old man now rested. After doing so, he left the funeral without looking back. Many assumed he was heartless for not staying to pay proper respect. But what none of them saw were the tears flowing from his eyes as he left. Naruto walked through the quiet streets of Konoha. Nobody else was there, they were all still at the funeral. He looked up at the now broken village. The sand and sound attack had done much damage. He couldn't help but wonder who the new Hokage would be, and if they would be worthy of the title. "Jiraiya, we want you to be the next Hokage," said the female member of the village council. "Sorry, but no," replied Jiraiya. "Do you turn your back on the village, Jiraiya?" said the older male of the council. "No, nothing like that, I just wouldn't be a very good Hokage," said Jiraiya. "But I can think of another Sannin that would be perfect." "You mean Tsunade, but nobody knows where she is," said the old lady. "True, but I could find her. Besides, her medical expertise would be perfect in our current situation," said Jiraiya. The council thought about it and finally agreed. "Very well, Jiraiya, you are to set out and locate your old teammate and bring her back to the village," said the old man. "In doing this, I ask only one thing," said Jiraiya. The council looked at him expectantly. "I ask that you allow Uzumaki Naruto to accompany me." The elders did not take this request well as they began heated discussion with each other. "Very well, he may go with you, but he must be back within at least 2 months," said the old lady. Jiraiya nodded. Naruto was changing out of his funeral clothes into what his other ones were. The fact of the old man's death was still weighing heavily on his mind. Once he had finished changing, a poof appeared in his room. Jiraiya stood tall over the white-haired boy. "Hey kid, how you holding up?" asked Jiraiya. "I just can't believe he's gone," said Naruto. Jiraiya looked at him sympathetically. "I know it's hard, but you have to move on," said Jiraiya. "You're coming with me to find my old teammate. We leave in 30 minutes. Why do I have to come?" asked Naruto. "Because I am going to help train you," said Jiraiya. Naruto looked at him in the eyes, trying to find another motive. Fine, but why are we looking for this teammate of yours? Asked Naruto. Because she is going to be the next Hokage, said Jiraiya. Naruto's eyes widened. Pack only what you need to. Jiraiya disappeared with another poof, and once again he was alone in the room. He grabbed his katana as well as his wallet. He placed a pack already with some spare clothes over his back. He then rushed out the door. Sakura and Sasuke were walking side by side on the empty streets. This was almost a dream come true for Sakura. Now if only he would talk to her. Hey Sasuke-kun, I just wanted to say thank you for saving me from Gaara, said Sakura. Actually, I didn't save you, it was Naruto, said Sasuke. Sakura looked a little surprised by this. She didn't even know Naruto had been there. She was knocked out for most of the time. Oh, I just thought that. You know, since you were the only one I saw there, said Sakura. No, I was too weak to defeat Gaara, said Sasuke, gritting his teeth. But the Dobe defeated him. He's getting so strong so fast. Does it have something to do with that ability he used? Thought Sasuke. Before Sasuke could ponder that thought anymore, he saw Asuma carrying an unconscious Kakashi over his shoulders. He immediately followed them to the hospital to find out what happened. He ran up to the room Kakashi was staying in. In the room, several Jounins were gathered. Sasuke was about to ask what happened when a Chunin ran into the room. Is it true? Has Itachi really come back to the village looking for Naruto? Said the Chunin. Everyone froze as they looked at Sasuke, who had just heard the news about his brother. He immediately ran out of the room to search for Naruto. He ran through the entire village only to learn that Naruto had left with a strange white-haired man. Sasuke ran out of Konoha towards the nearest village, where he was certain Naruto would be. Naruto was meditating in the hotel room Jiraiya had rented for them. Right now he was mad at the pervert for taking all of his money with him. A knock on the door brought Naruto from his thoughts. Who would be visiting? He thought. He walked over to the door and slowly opened it. When it was completely open, tall figures wearing black cloaks with red clouds on them stood in front of him. Are you Uzumaki Naruto? Asked the tall one. And what if I am? Replied Naruto, not sure of what to do. You will come with us, said the shorter one. Naruto looked at him and his eyes widened. He looked an awful lot like Sasuke, only older. The man had his Sharingan eyes blazing. Naruto instantly remembered the only other surviving Uchiha, the one that had massacred the rest. Itachi, said Naruto, his breath being caught in his throat. Itachi, shouted a figure from down the hall. Naruto turned and saw it was Sasuke. Today I kill you, said Sasuke as he activated his Sharingan eyes. He then proceeded in creating the Chidori and charged his brother. Before Naruto could blink, Itachi was holding Sasuke's wrist. A small snap was heard and Sasuke screamed in pain. Why are you still so weak? He asked Sasuke. The younger Uchiha looked at his older sibling, hate radiating from his eyes. Itachi picked him up by his throat and pushed him against the wall. He looked into Sasuke's eyes and suddenly Sasuke screamed out in pain and fell unconscious. Now that you've had your fun, Itachi, we should grab the brat, said the taller of the two. Yes, Kisame, I think you're right, said Itachi, taking a step towards Naruto. When Naruto was about to fight back, he saw someone else appear next to him. You will not come near this boy, said Jiraiya. So the brat is under the protection of a Sannin, said Kisame. Jiraiya performed some quick seals and slammed his hands into the ground. Suddenly the whole hallway turned into what looked like the insides of a creature. Both Itachi and Kisame began to run away from Naruto, and the pink-like substance rose up and began to chase them. Itachi turned the corner, and the only thing Jiraiya and Naruto saw was black flames appear from around the corner. The two had escaped, a fact that Jiraiya wasn't happy about. Guy appeared not long after and took Sasuke to the hospital to treat his injuries. Jiraiya turned to Naruto. We're leaving now, said Jiraiya. Who were those guys and why did they want me? Asked Naruto. Jiraiya paused, not sure if he should answer. They are members with a group known as Akatsuki, and they don't want you, they want what's inside you, said Jiraiya. Naruto took in this new information. He couldn't believe he now had to worry about some evil organization coming after him. We have to Tsunade. The sooner you are able to return to Konoha, the better. The pair had been traveling for about 3 days now. Jiraiya still had no leads as to where his old teammate would be. The two of them were just a couple of miles from his next village. Naruto had been quiet the entire 3 days, still in deep thought about the Akatsuki. Jiraiya noticed the young boy's distress and instantly thought of a way to remedy it. "Hey kid, listen. I don't know how long we could be looking for Tsunade, so I have decided to teach you another jutsu for you to work on until we find her," said Jiraiya. Naruto perked his head up and stared at the Sannin. A hint of excitement could be seen in his eyes. "Here now, watch closely." Jiraiya held out his palm in front of him. Naruto stared at it curiously, not sure what to be looking for. Suddenly chakra began to swirl in Jiraiya's hand into the shape of a sphere. Naruto looked at it in wonder. It was a perfect blue sphere that looked like a small whirlpool in the center. "This is called the Rasengan," stated Jiraiya as the attack disappeared in his hand. "It is a very powerful technique that was created by the fourth Hokage." Naruto was still mesmerized by the memory of the perfect blue sphere. Even though he hadn't seen it in action, he could tell the attack was powerful. Jiraiya pulled out a water balloon and threw it over to Naruto, who just barely caught it because he had been daydreaming. "The first step in learning that jutsu is you must pop that water balloon by rotating the water with your chakra," said Jiraiya, taking out another water balloon. For example, he placed the balloon in his hand and began to concentrate. Slowly the balloon began to bubble outward until finally in blue. "Now you try." Naruto concentrated his chakra into the water. He instantly felt it begin to rotate. "This will be easy," he thought. "Don't be so sure," said the Kyuubi. Naruto kept the water rotating, but the balloon just wouldn't pop. "Why won't it pop?" asked Naruto to Jiraiya. "That is something that you will have to figure out for yourself," said Jiraiya. "I am going into the village to gather some information. I want you to practice popping the balloon until I get back." And with that he left. Naruto practiced for hours, but the balloon just wouldn't pop. He was exhausted and panting heavily. "Why can't I don this?" he questioned. "Hey Fox, is there any way you can help me?" "Sorry kid, but this seal prevents me from doing a lot," said the Kyuubi. "The most I can do is expand your chakra pathways, which is what I have been doing since your transformation." Naruto frowned. He couldn't understand what the old pervert had done that was so different. He thought back to what Jiraiya had shown him. It looked like the water was going out in different direction, not just one. He thought. Naruto put his new idea to the test as he used his other hand to change the flow of chakra. Within no time the water balloon popped and Naruto was jumping for joy. When Jiraiya got back and Naruto showed him what he had learned, the pervert just showed him the next step, which consisted of popping a rubber ball. "That's enough for today, kid. We will continue tomorrow," said Jiraiya to an exhausted Naruto. Naruto fell on his back and instantly fell asleep. Naruto awoke in a cold sweat, eyes wide as he stared into the night sky. He panted heavily, trying to catch his breath. Slowly his breathing had returned to normal, but that didn't mean he was feeling any better. He had had another dream. Ever since his first transformation, he would dream different variations of him killing those he cared about. This time it had just been him and Jiraiya. He remembered the dream all too clearly, how he had ripped the Sannin in half, and how his blood stained his claws. "Kyuubi, you're positive that I won't lose control?" asked Naruto. "Kid, it's like I tell you every night. Since you didn't complete the transformation, your wolf side is still sending you the dreams of who you must kill. However, that is all they are, kid. They're just dreams," said Kyuubi. "Trust my power, kid, no matter how it seems the seal is working." Naruto was calmed down a bit and stared at the half-moon in the sky. He still had not experienced another full moon, but he would in a couple of days, and he knew it. Naruto became depressed at his own thoughts. "It's not bad enough that my sleep is constantly haunted, but I still got to feel pain on the nights of the full moon," he thought. "Remember, kid, you made this choice. However, I do feel it would be so much easier on you if you just gave up and killed everybody," said Kyuubi. "Shut up, Fox, I already told you I'm not doing that," said Naruto. "Then stop complaining, because whether you like it or not, you're suffering by your own choice, kid," said Kyuubi. "I know, Fox, I know, but still it doesn't make it any easier," said Naruto. Jiraiya, who had been silently watching from the trees, couldn't help but looked saddened. "Don't worry, Naruto. I know I haven't told you yet, But if there is anyone who can cure you, it will be Tsunade, said Jiraiya to himself. Naruto and Jiraiya made their way into the next village. He had been practicing on the way there, but he still hadn't been able to pop the rubber ball. Naruto finally gave up for the day and walked with Jiraiya in silence. Hey Jiraiya, can you tell me anything about this Tsunade person? Asked Naruto. Jiraiya thought for a moment, rubbing his chin. She's my age, and has curves in all the right places. She's a blonde, with a huge ass rack. Her measurements are dash. No, you stupid pervert, I don't want to know about that sort of stuff, said Naruto, cutting off Jiraiya. I want to know what she's like. Oh, well, she's smart and strong as hell, though like me she never seems to be one for responsibility, but when it comes down to it she is very reliable, said Jiraiya. However, her biggest problem is gambling. Gambling? Asked Naruto. Jiraiya sighed. She is known far and wide as a first-class sucker because frankly she sucks horribly at gambling. Jiraiya started grinning pervertedly as a blush came on his face. There has only been one occasion where I was grateful at how bad she was at gambling. And what was that? Asked Naruto, listening intently. Instantly Jiraiya's grin grew to an all-out smile as some blood began to trickle from his nose, his blush growing ever deeper. That was when we played strip poker, said Jiraiya. Naruto fell over. That was probably the single greatest day of my life. Enough. I don't think I want to know about this person anymore, said Naruto. Is there any way you can help me learn the second step of the Rasengan? Jiraiya just let out another one of his sighs. All right, there might be something I can do to help, said Jiraiya, grabbing Naruto's hand. He took out a black marker and drew a dot on his student's palm. Focus on this dot when collecting your chakra. Having something to focus on should make it easier. Now get back to it. Jiraiya left the boy on the outskirts of the town while he went to the local bar to get information. To Naruto's surprise, once he learned to focus on the dot, it became a lot easier. After a couple hours, he finally achieved his goal of popping the rubber ball. Naruto passed out not too long after that with a smile on his face. When Jiraiya came back, he found a decimated training ground and a happy Naruto snoring as he slept. Jiraiya and him were on the move again, this time having a good idea as to where Tsunade was. Naruto had been taught the third stage of his training and it proved to be more difficult than the first two. He was still nowhere near mastering it, and they had been on the road for almost 2 weeks now. The two slowly trudged into another village, this one being quite large. They made their way through the center when they saw some people running and screaming from a huge castle. "Giant snake monster, run!" shouted one person. Those words instantly caught the attention of both Naruto and Jiraiya. The two sprung in the direction of the castle with the thought of the snake beast in mind. "Do not be so quick to make your decisions, Tsunade-sama," said Kabuto to a tall blonde-haired lady. "We will come back in 1 week for your answer." Him and Orochimaru fled in seconds, not leaving a trace. "Tsunade-sama, you're not seriously considering helping them, are you?" asked a young female with dark hair. The older of the two women turned around with a confused look on her face. "Let's go get drunk, Shizune," she said, marching past her comrade. Naruto and Jiraiya arrived at the scene moments later to view the destruction. "Yep, this is definitely Tsunade's handiwork, but I can't tell if Orochimaru was really here," said Jiraiya. "He was," stated Naruto. The white-haired Chunin gave him a questioning eyebrow. "There were 4 people here. 2 of them were Orochimaru and Kabuto, and the other 2 were mostly likely Tsunade and someone else." "How do you know?" asked the Chunin. "I can smell them. There are 4 different scents here," said Naruto. "There are 2 that I recognize and 2 that I don't, so I just assumed on what you said that one was Tsunade's." "Oh, I see. Can you track her down?" asked Jiraiya. "I can try," said Naruto, whiffing the air for the scent. He immediately took off in one direction, the perverted Chunin not too far behind. They traveled for only a couple of minutes before they came to a restaurant. The place smelled of alcohol. Jiraiya took one sniff of the air. "Yep, this is definitely where she would go after a battle," he said. The two looked around the booths for a bit until Jiraiya spotted a familiar blonde. "Tsunade, long time no see." The blonde raised her head up in shock at recognition of the voice. "Jiraiya, you two, is my past really coming back to haunt me?" she asked. If you say that, then I assume you have already met with the snake, said Jiraiya, whose tone suddenly became a lot darker. You also probably have a good idea why I am here. Him and Naruto took a seat inside Tsunade's and Shizen's booth. Actually, I don't mind telling me, said the medic Zenin. The old man is dead and the village would like you to be the new Hokage, said Jiraiya. Tsunade didn't look at all surprised by this statement. As a matter of fact, she put on a bored and annoyed face. Why would I want to become Hokage anyway? Said Tsunade, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Naruto instantly tensed up at this and started gripping the table. I mean, really, what kind of idiot willingly takes on that stupid position? Naruto's hand gripped the table so hard that the wood eventually gave and broke off. Everyone at the table looked at him. Tsunade looked quite surprised that he busted the table with such ease. He stood up and gave her a hateful glare, but didn't say anything to her. He looked at Jiraiya for a moment before he turned around. I am going to go train for the rest of the night, Jiraiya, he said before walking away. Tsunade stared at his back, a little curious. Who was that Jiraiya? Said Tsunade. That, he said, was Uzumaki Naruto, one whose greatest dream is to be acknowledged by the village by becoming Hokage. The Kyuubi kid, why is he with you and wasn't he blonde? Asked Tsunade. He is someone that is in desperate need of your help, said Jiraiya. Tsunade's eyes widened slightly with shock. What do you mean he needs my help? Asked Tsunade. Jiraiya just stared out the window into the darkening sky. Tonight is a full moon, isn't it? He asked. She nodded questioningly. You will see what I mean tonight if you will watch him with me. Jiraiya exited the restaurant with the two ladies in search of Naruto. They went rather far on the outskirts of town, and when they finally arrived to his training ground, well, to say Tsunade and Shizun were shocked would be an understatement. Craters filled the ground. Trees were snapped and intricate spiral patterns were everywhere. They looked into the center of the field to see a white-haired boy with a glowing blue ball in his hand. Tsunade instantly recognized the attack. He knows Rasengan, she said. Jiraiya just shook his head. He has more or less mastered the first two-step, however, he has yet to accomplish the third, said the pervert. However, his progress is nothing to laugh at. He mastered those steps in a matter of days, whereas it would take others months. Well, can you tell me why he needs my help now? Said a still slightly shocked Tsunade. It would be better if you see for yourself. It is almost time, said Jiraiya. Naruto sat down in the middle of the field and panted. Red chakra surrounded him and healed any minor wounds he had sustained from training. The Sannin present could feel his chakra being refilled as well. Then all was quiet as they waited. The sun slowly set and night overtook the landscape. They all watched curiously as the white-haired boy sat still. The full moon rose out from the clouds and the effect was instant. The cross-shaped necklace he wore began to glow and he screamed out in pain. It appeared to be burning his skin. His muscles began to contort, and his body seemed to be doubling in size 1 minute, the shrinking back the next. It was a sickening thing to watch as he rolled around on the ground screaming in utter agony. Tsunade couldn't believe her eyes. What is wrong with him? She thought. Uzumaki Naruto was bitten by a werewolf when he was 7 years old, stated Jiraiya, still staring at the boy. The Kyuubi inside of him managed to seal it off for many years. However, in the recent Chunin Exams, Orochimaru placed a 5-part seal on the current one of the Kyuubis. This caused the release of the werewolf side. Tsunade looked at her teammate with shock. She had never believed in werewolves. No one had ever seen one. She couldn't help but notice some slight resemblances between Naruto and her late brother. Once she made that connection, it became even more painful to watch as she was picturing her brother go through that agony. Jiraiya continued on with his explanation as to why this was happening. To become a full werewolf, you must kill all those you hold dear. For Naruto, that happened to be the entire village, said Jiraiya. Despite the way the village treats him, he did not want any of them to die. He still wanted to gain their acknowledgement by becoming Hokage. His words droned on in her head. She couldn't help but feel slightly ashamed at herself for insulting a dream he would go through this much pain for. How is it that he hasn't killed any of them yet? She asked. The Kyuubi managed to create a seal for the wolf. That is what the necklace is, said Jiraiya. So long as he wears that necklace, he is human. However, on a night of the full moon where the werewolf side is forcibly pushed out, the necklace causes him great pain to stay human. If he takes it off, he only has control of himself for as long as his will remains strong. Naruto gave out another bone-chilling scream as he began to ram his head into a nearby tree to distract him from his pain. The sight was enough to make anyone sick. He fell to the ground and grabbed his body as he started to try and hold in his pain. If you become Hokage, you will have access to all of Konoha's top medical facilities, said Jiraiya. Please help him. Is that why you brought him to use like this? She asked. She didn't notice, but there were tears streaming down her face. Jiraiya hadn't expected her to react this way. He looked over to her partner Shizune and noticed she was in a similar state. No, I just wanted you to see. Despite what he does for the village, he is still treated like garbage. The council doesn't give a rat's ass about him, he said with venom in his voice. If you don't become Hokage, you won't gain enough leverage over them to help him. If I became Hokage, they would probably forbid me from granting you access to what is needed to help him. That is why it must be you. She stared at the ground and a tear fell from her eye. She didn't know what to do, but after she heard one final scream come from Naruto, the answer was immediate. Very well, I will become Hokage, however I have a few things I need to take care of as well before I go, she said. Jiraiya nodded. And that would be? He said. I need to give Orochimaru my response to his offer. I would also like to make a bet with Naruto, she said with a small smile. Regardless of the outcome of that bet, I will still become Hokage, so don't worry. Another scream erupted from the field. Don't worry, Naruto. If you are anything like Jiraiya says, then I should be able to help you, said Tsunade to herself. Chapter 6. Naruto slowly opened his eyes to the bright morning sun. He stared straight up at the slow-moving clouds in the blue sky. His body was sore all over. He didn't want to move. He slowly got into the sitting position. Once he was sitting up, he grabbed both his ribs to hold in the sore pain. The full moon had been more intense than he could have ever dreamed. His white bangs fell over his eyes as he looked around. He stood and walked over to his sword and trench coat that he had placed there before the transformation. Even though he never fully changed, his body still would grow in size, tearing his shirt and pants. Naruto stared on at the quiet scene of the decimated training area. A gentle breeze blew across his face and he relaxed. Naruto's ears perked up at the sound of footsteps behind him. He turned around and found the legendary medic Nin behind him. What do you want? He asked, weary from the night before. I would like to make a deal with you, said Tsunade. Naruto turned around fully and stared at her. Tsunade's eyes widened slightly at the sight of his scared chest. I saw that you knew the Rasengan. It's in the developing stage still, why do you mention it? Asked Naruto. A smile played on the Sanin's lips. I want to make a bet, she said. Naruto raised an eyebrow. I watched you and I have considered going with you to Konoha to become your Hokage. Naruto stared at her a little surprised. Oh, is that so? Said Naruto. Yes, but only if you win the bet, she said. Naruto smiled, thinking of his luck in these sorts at the situation. Okay, what's the bet? He asked. Simple, master the Rasengan by the end of this week, she said, smiling. Naruto's face faltered slightly, thinking of the bet. He gave her a confident smirk. Fine deal, said Naruto. And to make it a little more interesting for you, if you win you also get my necklace, she said, taking out a crystal attached around her neck. Naruto nodded in confirmation. Tsunade walked away, leaving him to train. So let me get this straight, you'll come back with us no matter what, said Jiraiya. That's correct, I only wanted to see what the kid is capable of, said Tsunade. And if he wins, I know that he will not fall prey to this curse, she said, that holding up her necklace. Shizune gave a small gasp. Tsunade-sama, you didn't say you'd give him that, did you? Asked the stunned young Mednin. What if its curse follows him? I want to believe in him, said Tsunade. She started thinking of the boy as he howled in pain the night before, yet he still continued on. I know he'll do it. You're right, said Jiraiya, looking up. If he truly wants to become Hokage, then he'll do it. Naruto stood in the center of the training field, panting heavily. Sweat streamed down every part of him. His white hair had fallen forward over his face, making it go in messy spikes downward. He stuck his palm in front of him and braced it with his other. He started gathering chakra, and when he thought he had a sufficient amount, he took his hand off his wrist and started to use it to form the necessary ball. He got it, but it was the same as always. The flow was too chaotic to form it properly. He then decided to try a new method. He put both of his hands together and tried to create the ball in between. He slowly started to spread his hands apart, and to his immense surprise, a Rasengan was forming. He studied it carefully. For some reason, it wouldn't get any bigger. He definitely would have to work on this. The deadline is almost up. Aren't you supposed to see Orochimaru tomorrow? Asked the pervert. Yes, and hopefully Naruto will be done by then, she said. Can I count on you in battle? Do you even need to ask? Said Jiraiya. We'll be fine, and if anything, you'll get rid of one of Konoha's biggest threats as your first act of Hokage. Tsunade laughed slightly at this. Tomorrow was the day, but for right now. Bring us more sake, she shouted out to the waiter. Orochimaru-sama, it's time, said Kabuto. Orochimaru nodded, and the two headed for the designated meeting spot. Already waited there were Tsunade and her young charge. Have you decided? Asked the snake. I have, she said bluntly. And what is your decision? Asked Orochimaru. Tsunade's hands started to glow green with her chakra as she began to walk forward. Orochimaru gave one of his disgusting smiles as he made his way towards her as well. Just as she brought her hands forward to his arms, they turned into a fist. Orochimaru's eyes widened as he leaned back slightly to lessen the blow as he was struck by one of her godly punches. Orochimaru was sent flying across the field. Orochimaru-sama! Shouted out Kabuto as he jumped to his master's side. Before he said anything, Kabuto bit Orochimaru's thumb and smeared it across the tattoo on his arm. A huge poof of smoke came into view as the giant snake Manda came into view. Orochimaru, said Manda, you will give me as many sacrifices as I require for later. Very well, will these do for starters? Said Orochimaru, gesturing towards their opponents. Manda gave what anyone would guess would be a nod. Before he could strike, though, Jiraiya appeared on top of Gambunta. Well, Jiraiya, when this is all done, me and the kid are all going to have some sake, said the Toad Boss. Jiraiya, how unexpected, said Orochimaru. Kabuto jumped off the perch that was Manda's head to the ground. He landed in front of Shizune before she could react. He had cut her leg ligaments with his chakra scalpels. Tsunade grabbed a hold of Shizune and jumped away. Kabuto jumped towards Tsunade. She dodged and threw a tremendous punch. Kabuto just narrowly escaped from the blow. It landed on the ground, shattering it as the punch went. Kabuto stared wide-eyed at the force behind the blow. Tsunade kept throwing blow for blow. Kabuto barely escaped each hit. The Sannin could see the look of panic in his eyes as they fought. Tsunade brought her foot down only to have him grab it. She could see he used all his strength to stop the blow, but he still managed to cut the leg ligament in her foreleg. She kicked him with her other foot and sent him flying with the hit to the jaw. She tried to stand on that leg, but it was no good. To her immense surprise, Kabuto was already getting up after he took a hit from her. His body was glowing with chakra as he healed himself. He took out a soldier pill and popped it into his mouth. The effect was instant as he looked fresh and ran towards her. Tsunade didn't have enough time to concentrate on her wound to heal it, as the young silver-haired Mednin descended upon her. Before either of them knew what was going on, a huge white wolf hybrid made its way in between them. He sank his teeth deep into Kabuto's shoulder. Both of them stood frozen in front of Tsunade. Kabuto gave a small grunt of pain. Ah, Naruto-kun, so nice of you to join us, said Kabuto in an almost mocking way. The wolf just gave a low growl for its response. Kabuto tried to free himself, but the jaw held tight. He couldn't even move his arms as the wolf had his hands securely on those. Naruto looked over at Tsunade, and she instantly knew he was telling her to watch. The hybrid put his clawed hands together and slowly started to spread them apart. Both the Mednin's present eyes widened, as the Rasengan was formed in between the hands. Naruto slammed the ball of chakra into the Nin's stomach, and the full effects of the Rasengan took place. Kabuto was blasted across the field on an huge ball of energy spinning wildly. He finally slammed into a boulder and crashed. Naruto stared at him as he slowly rose. Despite the boy's amazing healing abilities, he was still coughing up blood and collapsed. He didn't pass out, but he was unable to move. Orochimaru evaluated the situation and immediately knew he had to run. The tactic was fairly simple as he replaced himself with a mud clone and grabbed Kabuto with his tongue and disappeared in a flash. Manda also disappeared in a poof of smoke. "Damn," said Jiraiya, dismissing Gambunta in an instant. He looked down at the wolf and saw the familiar red chakra sweep across its neck. The beast turned back into Naruto and to everyone's surprise a naked one. Shizune was blushing and looking away frantically. Tsunade just busted out laughing at the situation. Naruto took off a pack no one saw he had brought with and took out his cloths. He then put them on. Jiraiya just stared at him. "What? I didn't feel like ruining more of my cloths when I change," said Naruto honestly. "Well, next time watch who you change in front of," shouted a still blushing Shizune. Naruto rubbed the back of his head and gave a sheepish grin. "Sorry," said Naruto with a smile. "Hey, I win the necklace thing, right?" Tsunade smiled, and then punched the ground. It cracked below Naruto and he lost his balance. Before he could react, Tsunade was in front of him, fist raised. He closed his eyes and waited for the pain. All he felt was something warm on his forehead. He opened his eyes and saw she was kissing it. She backed away with a smile and came down to eye level with him and placed the necklace around his neck. "Yep, it's yours now," she said kindly. The trip back was rather uneventful, and it wasn't long before they approached the gates of Konoha. When the Umbu guards saw them coming, they instantly opened the gate. "Welcome back, Jiraiya-sama, Tsunade-sama," said the Umbu. "The council is expecting you." Both the Sannin nodded and were about to be on their way when Tsunade noticed another Umbu sending a cold glare Naruto's way. As she walked past him, she stopped. "If I catch you sending another cold glare his way, I'll make sure as your new Hokage to have you relieved of duty," she said the threat in an icy tone that would have frozen anyone solid. "Well, we have to go now. We'll see you later," said Jiraiya as he and Tsunade disappeared. Shizune went off towards the hospital as she said she would try to find work. Naruto, on the other hand, went towards his favorite ramen stand. "Well, as I live and breath, Naruto, great to see you," said the old man as he entered the stand. Several heads perked up at the mention of the name. Naruto looked on, and to his surprise the entire Rookie 9 was there, including Guy's team. "Naruto, where have you been?" shouted out Kiba, being the first one to walk forward. "I had a mission," said Naruto. "We got a new Hokage." Sasuke, who was in a seat nearby, scoffed at this. "Why would they give a dobe like you a mission so important?" said Sasuke, trying to get a rise out of him. To everyone's immense surprise, Naruto just turned around and looked at the sky. "You know, I've been wondering the same thing," said Naruto a little absent-mindedly. He walked over to Sasuke and patted him on the back. "It's good that you're all right though," said Naruto in all sincerity. Sasuke was completely taken surprised by this. "Sorry, I didn't come to visit or anything, but I'm sure that Sakura did enough for both of us." Everybody laughed at the joke, all except one worried female pink-haired ninja. "Why didn't you tell us you had a mission?" asked Sakura in a slightly quiet voice. "Sorry, it caught me by surprise. I had to leave immediately," said Naruto. They all talked and Naruto told them all about the mission. And finally somebody asked the question they all wanted the answer to. "So what the deal with the wolf thing?" asked Sasuke. Everyone fell quiet, listening intently. Naruto sighed. "Well, to put it bluntly, I'm a werewolf," said Naruto. Everyone's eyes widened. "You mean like those monsters in movies?" said Ino, slightly scared. Naruto sighed again and looked down. "Yeah," he said quietly. Ino looked down. "Oh, sorry, I just said it kinda. I didn't mean you're not a monster," said Ino. Naruto looked up and smiled at everyone. "Thanks," said Naruto. "How did you become one?" said Sasuke with determination in his eyes. Naruto was beyond surprised at the look in his eyes. "Sasuke," said Naruto, slamming his hand on the counter. This caught everyone's attention. "I know you want to kill him, but doing this to yourself is not worth it." Everyone fell silent. "But to answer your question, I was bitten when I was 7, said Naruto. "For some reason it didn't take effect on me, but when we fought Orochimaru in the forest, he released it." The mood was completely killed. Some were surprised at what apparently Sasuke had suggested. Well, enough of this. What happened while I was gone? Asked Naruto. And once again the mood was back as they all told him their own stories. As Teams Guy and 8 left, it was soon just Team 7 and 10. Both exited together. Naruto wrapped his arms over both his teammates' shoulders and slumped on them. Hey guys, we're friends, right? Said Naruto to both his team and Team 10. All of them thought about it. Well, yeah, I guess so. Why? Asked Ino. Well, I was just thinking we could all do something like this again sometime, said Naruto. You know, have Team Guy and 8 and we all just talk. It was fun. Sure, I just assumed we would do that stuff anyway, said Shikamaru, yawning. Naruto, are you okay? Said Sakura in a whisper to his ear. Yes, Sakura, why? Asked Naruto. He looked at her and she seemed hurt by something. No reason, said Sakura. He doesn't call me Chan anymore, thought Sakura sadly. In a dark room sat a figure on a throne. He was old with a beard to the ground, and even though he was sitting, he was leaning forward on a cane. So you found a white fur? Said the old man in a kind voice to one of the two cloaked figures. Yes, but there is something different about him. We need to capture him, said the cloaked figure with red eyes. Jean, we do not force others into the pack. They come because no one accepts us, said the old man. If he is accepted there, then we must leave him be. Elder, said the Jean, there is something different. We must capture him. He is dangerous. I have no doubt that he will kill everyone in that village. The elder sat back in his seat with his eyes slightly wide. Do you really believe that? He asked. Jean nodded. Is he so dangerous that he must be captured? Then fine, but don't harm him. Bring him here so I can see for myself. Elder, I know this sounds so strange, but you must let me keep him in holding and study him, said Jean. The elder was once again shocked. Can you explain your reasoning? Asked the elder. He is affected in a strange way by the disease, said Jean. He is a curiosity. I just ask that you trust me for all my years of service. The elder nodded. Very well, we have struggled as a pack without an alpha to lead us, said the elder. And in that time you have always done what was right for the pack. The figure bowed, and no one could see, but a sick grin formed on his face under his hood. Fool, the power of the alpha will be mine, he thought. As they exited the elder's chamber, the second figure spoke. Brother, why did you not tell him that he was an alpha? She said, raising her voice. Kira, as my sister, I am trusting you to keep quiet, said Jean. Kira took a step back. But the pack, she trailed off. Everything that I do will be for the pack, trust me, said Jean. Kira nodded. Now go see our little brother Koda. I'm sure he's missed you. And with that she disappeared. Nothing will stand in my way of obtaining that power, nothing. And with that he faded into darkness. Chapter 7. Both Naruto and Shikamaru stood in front of the new Hokage waiting expectantly. They were surrounded by various shinobi of high rank. Both of you showed amazing potential in the Chunin exam, said Tsunade. You were both highly recommended by our two judges, so without any further delay, you are both now Chunin. Congratulations. 2 Chunin vests were passed forward to both Naruto and Shikamaru. Naruto gave one of his foxy grins over to Shikamaru, who just shook his head. They both exited the Hokage's office together. Naruto removed his blue trench coat and folded it up. Naruto had been wearing a black muscle t-shirt that was practically skin-tight. It showed off his surprisingly muscular chest and arms. He placed the unzipped Chunin vest over it. Shikamaru placed his on as well. So want to get everyone together and celebrate? Asked Shikamaru in an uninterested tone. Naruto just shrugged. I have some things that I want to take care of. I'll probably see you guys later, said Naruto, and with that he blurred out of sight. Naruto arrived at his apartment and frowned slightly. His apartment was the victim of graffiti. Every inch of it was covered with a new insult. Some had graphic pictures of something resembling a fox. However, Naruto did take notice of one thing. It wasn't as bad as it normally was whenever he would return from a mission. He had noticed that after the Chunin exams many would not shoot him such cold glares. Some just turned to ignore him, however others feared him, and then there was the occasional few that threw him looks of respect. Naruto turned his apartment key and entered his home. It was a mess, but he didn't mind. He deposited his trench coat in the closet and went to see how he looked in the mirror with his new Chunin vest. He smiled at himself in the mirror. He was finally on his way to becoming a Hokage. The silver cross necklace and his new crystal one hung loosely on his neck. Naruto decided he would go visit the third's grave. "You're kidding!" shouted out Ino. "You and Naruto are the only ones that got promoted." Shikamaru responded with a lazy nod. Everybody present was a little shocked. "I can understand you, but Naruto of all people," said Ino. "What's so hard to understand? We all saw how much he has improved," said Shikamaru. "I know it's just hard to get the old grinning idiot out of my head. I mean, I thought if anything it would be Sasu. Ino stopped herself as she looked over at the raven-haired Uchiha. He was looking very annoyed with the whole situation. "Well, I am happy that Naruto-kun got a promotion," said Hinata a little out of character. Many had taken notice of the changes in Hinata. She no longer seemed to stutter and also seemed a load more confident. "Whoa, I never said I wasn't happy for him, it's just well Naruto," said Ino. "Yeah, I'm a little surprised myself," said Naruto from behind Ino. She practically jumped out of her skin. Naruto just stood there and gave them all a warm smile. They all took note in one key difference: he actually seemed truly happy. Nobody had ever seen him with such an air of joy around him. It was not like Naruto at all. They were fully expecting him to be leaping up and down for joy, but this Naruto kept calm. It forced all the others to take note of how truly different he had become. "Well, shall we order?" said an impatient Chuji. Everybody nodded. They were at a restaurant instead of the ramen stand. The waiter came by and took all their orders. He looked at Naruto for a second and finally asked what he wanted. "I'm not hungry, thanks," said Naruto. The others raised curious eyebrows at this, as the waiter walked away slightly upset about something. The food came and it looked amazing. The others all began to dig in as Naruto took a sip of some water. Hinata, who was sitting next to Naruto, finally spoke up. "Come on, Naruto-kun, have some," she said with a slight blush. Naruto looked at her thoughtfully. Naruto took a few pieces of her steak and ate them hungrily. "Thank you," he said. "Come on, Naruto, it's obvious that you're hungry. Hey waiter, give us a steak for our friend here," shouted out Ino, pointing to Naruto. "No, Ino, wait," said Naruto, trying to stop her. But the waiter was already gone. Naruto let out a slightly depressed sigh. The others wondered why. But a few moments later they got their answer. The waiter came back and dropped the steak slightly harshly in front of Naruto. It was severely undercooked and appeared to be rotten. Some green stuff was on it and it was discolored. The others were shocked at this. Naruto just let out another sigh and dug through his wallet and put some money on the table. He picked up his meal and walked over to the trash bin where he dumped it. He didn't look back or say anything as he left the restaurant immediately after throwing the food away. The others looked over at the waiter who had served the food as he was talking to one of the chefs. They all focused their hearing and listened in. "That'll teach the demon for plaguing our restaurant with his filth," said the waiter with a disgusted smirk. The chef nodded in agreement. The others were mere seconds from going over there and teaching them a lesson when an old man came up behind them. "You two get out of here, you're fired," said the man calmly. Both the waiter and cook were surprised. "But boss, why?" said the waiter, shocked. "Get out now," said the old man. Both and the chef and the waiter looked at each other before they stormed out of the restaurant. The old man walked over to the group and bowed. "If you see Uzumaki-san again, please give him my apologies and that he will be welcomed here any time," said the old man. "And for the whole ordeal, there will be no charge for the meal." The others got up and left soon after to look for Naruto. Naruto stood in the middle of the training field facing off against a dozen clones. They all wielded his blade and they began their battle. The fight was that of pure grace. Naruto would easily disarm and destroy one of his clones with his blade. As one would fall, 3 more would be created in an instant by the white-haired wolf boy. The battle just continued to intensify as the training field was becoming littered with clones. Naruto fell to one knee panting as he dispersed the clones. He took a sniff of air and turned around to see his friends. He smiled over at all of them. Ino walked forward and apologized to him. She told him what happened when he left. He looked over at his friends and noticed that Sasuke wasn't there. He was probably training right now, but Naruto didn't mind. "Hey Naruto, here's your money back," said Ino, throwing him his money. "The owner would like to apologize and says you're welcome back anytime." Naruto gave a small smile. "Thanks," said Naruto. He turned around to get back to his training when he noticed Tenten in front of him with a sword of her own. "Looks like you could use a sparring partner," said Tenten, unsheathing her sword. Naruto smirked, and quick as lightning he attacked. They battled for a good while. Eventually Kiba got bored and he went home. Shino, who decided to go train himself, soon followed him. Team 10 left not long after that, so all that was left was Sakura, Hinata, Neji, and Lee. Neji appeared to be studying the battling and Lee was cheering enthusiastically for his teammate. Finally Naruto got under Tenten's guard and disarmed her of the blade. He had the tip of his sword pointed at her neck. "Wow, I guess you weren't made Chunin for nothing," said Tenten, sticking out her tongue. "Well, if you two are done, we should probably get going," said Neji. "Hinata-sama, we are supposed to meet your father soon." Soon they all left, leaving Naruto and Sakura to walk back together. The trip from the training ground was relatively quiet. Sakura kept taking glances at Naruto. She wanted to ask him so many things. Naruto finally took notice. "What is it, Sakura?" he asked in a caring voice. "Well, Naruto, do you like me?" said Sakura. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "As a friend." She recovered. Naruto let out a small laugh. "Of course you're my friend, Sakura, why do you ask?" asked Naruto. "It's just lately you've seemed kind of cold, and I know how I treated you bad in the past, so I just thought." Sakura trailed off. "I'm sorry, Sakura, I didn't think I changed that much, but don't worry," said Naruto. "I'm still a ramen-obsessed idiot." Sakura laughed at that last part. "Well, I'll see you later, try not to worry so much." Naruto went off running and Sakura could not help but smile at his retreating figure. Sasuke was slamming his fists into the training log. They were becoming more bloody and broken after every hit. "How did he get so strong?" asked Sasuke to himself. "It's because he's a werewolf." Sasuke pushed himself well past the breaking point until finally he felt it. His seal on his neck ached and seared his skin. He fought back with everything he had and eventually it resided. "I need more power," said Sasuke in a hollow voice. Naruto walked calmly through the streets of Konoha, once again sporting his blue trench coat. He had been a Chunin for close to 3 weeks now. He had gone on several missions, much to his joy, and led 2 of them. His paycheck was higher and he got looks close to respect. Life was finally good. However, like most things, that happiness would only last so long, as he remembered what tonight was. The full moon would be tonight and his body would once again be racked with pain. He walked into the hospital where Tsunade said she would meet him. As he walked through the lobby, he took notice that several of his friends were there. "Hey Naruto!" shouted out Ino from across the hall. Naruto turned and looked at her. "Hey Ino," was his reply. "What you doing here?" asked the blonde girl. "Tsunade needs to run some test on me," said Naruto. Ino instantly seemed interested. "Really? Hey, can I ask you something?" asked Ino. Naruto nodded. "Is it true that you transform on the night of the full moon? Because I've been reading a lot of books lately." "Well, now there's a surprise," said Naruto, faking astonishment. Ino looked ready to clobber him at that point. "Hey, relax, I'm just kidding." "Well, anyway, I was reading on legends and stuff like that for Tsunade and I came across a lot of interesting things," said Ino. "You were reading up on werewolf legends for Tsunade? Why?" asked Naruto. "Because she needed information, so she asked the guys and me if we wanted to help," said Ino. "We all volunteered, but she only needed 1 or 2 of us, so me and Hinata got the job." Ino finished with a grin. "You did that for me," said Naruto quietly. A smile adorned his face. "Thanks, Ino." Ino blushed slightly at his smile. "Yeah, well, don't just thank me," said Ino. Naruto nodded, but then realized that he had to meet Tsunade still. Naruto ran down the hall, realizing that he was late. He arrived at the door when he realized that Tsunade was talking to someone. "You're sure about this?" asked Tsunade. Naruto was surprised when he heard Sakura respond. "Yes," said Sakura. "Very well, your training starts tomorrow." said Tsunade. Don't be late. Sakura nodded, and immediately after Naruto walked in. Naruto, good you're here, let's get started. Tsunade took out a large needle and attached it to a syringe. Naruto nearly passed out at the sight of it. What are you going to do with that? Said Naruto, worried. Before he could react, Tsunade had grabbed a hold of him. "No, let me go." She didn't wait long as she stuck the needle in his arm and took the blood sample. It was over quickly enough. She took the sample and placed it in a vial. "I have asked a few of your friends to look up werewolves in stories or legends," said Tsunade. "There was mention of a few different things that I think can help you, but I need to do many tests and find the different materials." "Yeah, that's great. What's your point?" asked Naruto. "My point is I believe I can find a cure, but the fact is it could take me years," said Tsunade. "If there is a cure, I will find it though, but just keep in mind that it will take a while." Naruto nodded in understanding. "Thank you, Tsunade, this means a lot," said Naruto. Tsunade smiled at the boy brightly. "Are you ready for tonight?" she asked. Naruto only nodded in response. He walked out the hospital door and headed for the forest. However, none other abruptly stopped him than Sasuke. "Dobe, fight me," said Sasuke in an icy tone. Naruto looked into his eyes, which now blazed with the Sharingan, and he then understood. The Uchiha needed to fight as confirmation. "Very well, Sasuke," said Naruto as he and Sasuke were at the top of the hospital roof in a matter of seconds. Both of them took a stance. Naruto didn't have his sword with him, but he was confident in his taijutsu. Naruto rushed forward and threw a punch, one that was intercepted by Sasuke. Naruto quickly spun around him and threw a kick, this time at the back of his head. Sasuke managed to block it, but the force behind it sent him flying back. Before he could blink, two shadow clones were behind him with wire. They managed to successfully wrap it around his upper body, stopping his arms, but he spun in the air, kicking them out of existence. Naruto was on him again, but Sasuke saw him coming with his Sharingan. He leaned on his back and grappled Naruto's punch with his legs. Sasuke then effectively flipped Naruto onto the ground. Sasuke rolled over to his side and dug into his kunai pouch with his teeth. He successfully got one and stood up. He dropped it from his mouth and let it fall into his hand, which were still bound by the wire, and cut himself loose. He then charged at Naruto and sent a foot towards his head on the ground. Naruto rolled over and avoided it. He then spun up and kicked Sasuke in the gut, which stalled him for a few seconds. But he quickly recovered and formed a set of familiar seals. Naruto instantly flipped back as a huge stream of fire erupted from Sasuke's mouth. It hit him dead on, and Sasuke smirked. However, the smirk disappeared as Naruto disappeared in a poof of smoke. A clone, but when did he dash? Sasuke was cut off by the sound of someone running up behind him. He took out a kunai and met it with one of Naruto's. They both stared each other down. Sasuke flipped back away from Naruto and formed the seals for Chidori. The familiar sound of chirping birds filled the air as lightning covered the boy's hand. Naruto slammed his hands together and pulled them apart, slowly forming the Rasengan. The two of them charged each other, ready to give it their all. But just before their attacks met, Kakashi appeared between them and flung them away from each other towards some water towers. Sasuke's plunged straight through, creates in fairly big hole as water poured out. Naruto's and dented the water tower severally, and a trickle of water was coming out. When Sasuke saw this, he smirked. Sakura and Ino were both by the roof's entrance and ran towards them. They both had come with Kakashi. "What do you two think you're doing?" they shouted in unison. Naruto threw them an apologetic smile, while Sasuke scuffed and flipped away over the fence. He looked back at the water towers, and to his immense surprise, the entire back was blown of Naruto's. Sasuke's eyes narrowed in anger as he left. Naruto left the two girls soon after and headed towards the woods, knowing the full moon would be up very soon. Sasuke stood at the edge of a large tree branch in the middle of the village. Not long ago, Kakashi had come by and told him not to use that technique on a comrade. He had given the boy a lot to think about, as he said he already lost all his important people. However, not long after that, Orochimaru's servants had shown up. They had given a first-hand demonstration of the power he offers. Sasuke knew that if he went, he would become strong enough to defeat his brother. But for some reason, something was holding him back. He thought about his friends, how important they actually were to him. Then he thought about Naruto, who was probably his best friend. Anger outweighed the joy of his memories as he made his decision. Naruto let out a bloody scream of pain as he rolled around on the ground. The pain was even more unbearable than he remembered. His skin felt like it was on fire and slowly he was being boiled from the inside. Then that feeling would change to a whole different painful sensation altogether, renewing his agony. Naruto let out another painful scream before he started to hold it in. He rolled around some more and then stared, slamming his head into the ground. He let out another scream into the air. Sakura stared at the back of Sasuke, tears flowing down her cheeks. "Why?" she asked. "Because that man will give me power. I will do anything for it," said Sasuke, looking back. "Please, Sasuke, stay. I love you," she finally said. "Please just stay. Forget about revenge. I know you'll be happy if you just stay." Sasuke disappeared in a blur of motion. "Sakura," he said from behind her. "Thank you." And darkness overtook her eyes as she passed out. Naruto slowly opened his eyes to the light of day. He slowly got up with a feeling of relief at the fact that it was over again. As he sat up, he heard someone panting behind him. He turned around and saw the face of Ino. "Ino?" he said, throwing her a questioning glance. "Naruto, the Hokage sent me to get you," she said in between pants, looking extremely worried. Sasuke's gone. Chapter 8. "Tsunade, is it true?" shouted Naruto, bursting through the Hokage doors. Tsunade looked up at him with a grim expression. "I'm afraid so," said Tsuanda. "You and a team led by Shikamaru will retrieve him. They're waiting at the gate for you." Naruto nodded and was about to leave when the Hokage called for him again. He turned and gave her a curious look. She gave a worried smile. "Good luck," she said. Naruto nodded and ran out of the office full speed towards the gate. Shikamaru, Neji, Kiba, and Chuji all stood ready and waiting. "Good you're here," said Shikamaru. He then explained their strategy and formation to Naruto. They went over it for a minute and turned to leave. Naruto," said a voice from behind them. Naruto turned around and saw the sad face of Sakura. She looked down at the ground and Naruto walked up to her. Please bring him back. I couldn't stop him." She started to sob. Naruto lifted her face up so he could stare her in the eyes. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "Sakura, I promise you I will bring him back no matter what. Promise of a lifetime," said Naruto. He gave her a warm smile and she nodded, looking down. Naruto turned around and left with his teammates, leaving Sakura in a small state of shock. Her face was red hot and blushing, something Naruto had failed to see. They jumped through trees at high speeds, trying to catch up to their target. "Kiba, Naruto, do you guys smell anything?" asked Shikamaru. "There's 4 of them," said Kiba. "I can't tell if Sasuke is with them. His scent is being obstructed by something," said Naruto. Shikamaru nodded. "All right, they are most likely shinobi of at least Chunin power, but odds are they are Jounin," said Shikamaru. "Neji, activate Byakugan and let me know the minute you see them." Neji activated his eyes and kept silent, watching. "What's the plan, Shikamaru?" asked Naruto. "My plan is this," said Shikamaru. "I doubt we can beat them, but all that matters is getting Sasuke. We'll sneak up on them and surprise attack with smoke bombs and various explosions. Neji, you'll be the main engager since you'll be able to see through the smoke." Neji nodded. "Kiba, you will lead Chuji to Sasuke. Since he has the most physical strength due to his clan's ability, he will carry Sasuke. Naruto, you and me will protect Chuji's path so he can get away. We will engage the enemy for as long as we can and then we pull out," said Shikamaru. "I see them," said Neji. They all got ready. They snuck behind some trees and looked at the members of the Sound Four. They were all resting surrounding a big barrel. That's where they assumed Sasuke was. Shikamaru engaged the plan by throwing smoke bombs and exploding kunai. The others followed suit. The 4 appeared to be caught off guard as Neji went in for the attack. He successfully hit them and knocked them back. Chuji grabbed the barrel by doubling the size of his arms and they ran. Naruto and Shikamaru jumped behind them to ensure they could escape. It was all going good until they heard Chuji give a curse. They turned around and saw a man with 6 arms grab the barrel, jumping over all of them. They heard a yell behind them as the fat one slammed his fists into the ground, causing a shock wave that blew away the smoke. Niji was then punched back over to them. They all gathered together, ready to face the enemy. "Stupid brats thought you could sneak up on us," said the 6-armed one. "My webs are layering this entire area. We knew you were coming." The big one ran up to the group and slammed his hands into the ground. Before any of them could react, a large dome of earth was forming around them. "You guys go on ahead, I'll finish them off," he said. They smirked and left. The big one stood there smirking. "Listen up, brats, the name's Jirubu. Remember it because it's the last name you're gonna hear." Jirubu began laughing out loud as he sucked out their chakra into him through the dome. However, he stopped laughing when he felt a fist slam into his face. He flew back a couple of feet. He immediately got up and looked at his attacker. Naruto stood in front of him. The dome behind him began to crumble, as Jirubu was no longer feeding chakra to it. His eyes widened as he saw Naruto with the group that was in the dome, and in front of him. He was further shocked as the one that punched him disappeared in a poof of smoke. "I created a few clones just in case this happened," said Naruto. "Annoying brat, aren't you?" said Jirubu. "Shikamaru, we can't waste time with him or Sasuke will get away," said Niji. "You guys go on ahead, I'll take care of him," said Naruto. Chuji put a hand on his shoulder. Naruto looked back at him, and Chuji shook his head. "No, I will fight him," said Chuji. "You have to keep your promise and get Sasuke." Naruto smiled at him and the 4 left. Jirubu just smirked. "You're pretty stupid letting your friends abandon you like that," said Jirubu. "You're wrong," said Chuji. "I'm doing what I can for them, and I will join them later." "Foolish," said Jirubu, activating his level 1 curse seal. "I don't have any time to waste with a brat like you." Chuji's fist doubled in size and he slammed it into Jirubu. He grabbed onto the fist with his hands. He was skidding back for a while, but then he stopped. He dug his feet into the ground and hurled Chuji over his head into the ground. He then slammed his fist into Chuji, but the young shinobi doubled his whole body in size and the blow was considerably lessened. Chuji kicked Jirubu in the jaw and he stumbled back. Chuji got up and immediately took out a small case. "Damn," he said as he took out a green pill and swallowed. His body started to course with energy. "Let's hope I can finish it with this." "Tich, once again you brats underestimate us. Jirubu always undermines Tayuya for her potty mouth," said the 6-armed man. "Ah, shut it and let just kill them, Kidumaru," said Tayuya to the 6-armed man. "Fine, you guys go on ahead, I'll take them out," said Kidumaru. The other 2 just shrugged and left with the barrel. Kidumaru looked at the remaining shinobi and got into a ready stance. "I see the fat one isn't with you. I imagine Jirubu is finishing him up about now." Niji stepped in front of his teammates. "I'll try to make it so you guys can pursue," said Niji. The young Hyuga prodigy charged his enemy with his Byakugan activated. He shot his open palm forward with surprising speed. Kidumaru began to dodge, doing backflips. Niji had accomplished his goal, as his opponent was too distracted with him to notice his comrades escaping. Niji brought both his arms forward in a double thrust. Kidumaru smirked as he grabbed Niji's forearms with 2 of his hands. He then used his other 4 to beat into Niji's exposed chest. The attacks were having a huge effect, but it didn't take long before Niji countered. He channeled chakra out the points on his forearms, causing Kidumaru to retreat his hands in pain. Niji then began to spin like a top. "Kai-tan!" he shouted out as Kidumaru was blasted back by the wave of chakra. Kidumaru flipped in the air and landed on the side of a tree, sticking to it with his chakra. Like a spider. Strange marks started to appear on his body as he bit his thumb. "That's quite the technique you have there," said Kidumaru. "Let me show you one of mine. Kyuicho's no jutsu." Kidumaru slammed his palm into the tree. Instantly a huge spider appeared. The giant beast crawled up above Niji and a huge egg sac appeared behind it. Mini spiders began falling on top of Niji. He tried to do the kaitan but found that the spider's web eventually froze him. The second he stopped spinning, Kidumaru shot several golden-colored kunai at Niji. He jumped back to dodge, only be greeted by more spiders from above. Niji began striking each of them down with the speed of the hack Rokuju Yanshu, divination field 64 strikes. Each spider was struck down quickly as Kidumaru watched from a distance. He's fast, I'll need to plan this out, thought Kidumaru. Kidumaru waved his hand, giving his summon the command to fall. When it did, Niji began spinning with the kaitan to defend. The spider erupted into web, trapping Niji. Kidumaru released some more of his special kunai. One was able to hit him on the back. Kidumaru raised a curious eyebrow. During his time pondering, Niji attacked. Kidumaru was caught off guard at being discovered. Niji slammed his palm in the six-armed man's chest. Kidumaru was sent crashing back through some trees. Niji stood there panting heavily. He had used up a lot of chakra. He hoped that the fight was over, but that hope vanished as he saw movement from under the rubble of the trees. Niji's eyes widened. "What is that?" said Niji, shocked. Kidumaru began to laugh, as his body remained covered in the golden-like armor. "Kumonenkin, golden spider thread," mumbled Kidumaru. The armor began to fall off, revealing a terrifying creature. "What the?" said Niji. "I never thought I would go level 2 against a brat like you," said Kidumaru. Chuji was slammed back into a boulder by a punch from a bored-looking Jirubu. "Pathetic," said Jirubu. Chuji wasn't listening as he pulled out the case again. "Please let me end it with this," thought Chuji. He popped the yellow pill into his mouth. His body once again began to pulse with chakra. Both of Chuji's arms doubled in size, and he ran towards Jirubu, who was slightly surprised at the boy's chakra increase. Chuji punched him, which sent him flying into the air. He then grabbed onto him and slammed him into the ground. Jirubu coughed up some blood at the force of it. Chuji lunged himself in the air, and his whole body expanded in size, and he body-slammed Jirubu. Chuji lied there for a short while and let out a breath of relief. However, he immediately tensed when he felt something lifting him. "Wah, no way," said Chuji in surprise. Jirubu's body had changed. He was more bulk and twice as ugly. He looked like some sort of troll or ogre with his orange skin and warts. The whites of his eyes were now black, and his pupils were slitted on a field of yellow. "How embarrassing going to this level on someone as pathetic as you," said Jirubu in his mocking voice. Chuji cringed as he was thrown across the field, his body shrinking back in size. He slowly tried to stand up as Jirubu started to walk towards him. He winced in pain, an effect of the second pill. Jirubu brought his hands into the ground and tore out a large section of earth. He threw it towards a battered Chuji. The young genin was barely able to dodge to the side. Jirubu slammed his fist into Chuji, sending him slamming into the ground. Jirubu's new strength was unperceivable. Chuji had no clue how someone could be that strong. "Well, brat, it's been fun," said Jirubu, walking towards Chuji. Chuji began to crawl away. "When I'm done with you, I'll kill those pathetic excuses for friends you have. You should thank me since they abandoned you." He stalked over to Chuji's figure, which was now lying on his stomach on the ground. Jirubu picked him up by the neck and turned him to meet his eyes. He was about to send a crushing blow to end the match when he paused. He stared at Chuji's hand, which gripped an empty case. He looked back at the boy's face and saw him swallow. His eyes widened as Chuji was flooded with chakra 3 times higher than before. It was taking all he had to stay in place. Chakra-like wings erupted from the boy's back as he gripped Jirubu's arm. Jirubu howled in pain at the force of the grip as he let go of the boy. He charged him and threw a punch with all his strength at Chuji. Chuji brought his hand up and caught the punch with ease. He didn't even so much as flinch under the force. Jirubu felt his knuckles break as the boy gripped his hand. He let out a small yell in pain. He tried to tackle the boy, but he remained unmoving. Chuji brought his fist into the man's gut. The force behind it resulted in a huge shock wave. Jirubu had the wind completely knocked out of him as he gasped for breath. Chuji flipped him on his back into the ground. Jirubu was forced to watch as all the boy's chakra was gathered in this final punch. He slammed it down straight into Jirubu's chest. He died before he even had a chance to scream in pain. Chuji walked out of the huge crater that he had made from the last blow. His body was racked with pain as he trudged forward to find his friends. His body couldn't take it, thought, as he fell to his knees. He stayed conscious as long as he could, tears flowing from his eyes as he stared at the message carved by his friends on a tree. Niji attacked the spider-like man in front of him. After he was done hitting him, he noticed that the same gold armor seemed to appear on his skin. Kidumaru attacked him with all 6 of his fists, sending him into a barrage of combo hits. Niji flew back into a tree and began to cough up blood. His forehead protector fell off, revealing his clan's curse seal on his head. Kidumaru stared at it for only a second before he attacked again. Niji barely ducked out of the way in time. He looked back only to see Kidumaru let go of some web in his hands. With his Byakugan activated, he was able to see the strange kunai coming towards him. He dodged them all, or at least thought he did. Before he knew it, he felt a pain in his back. Kidumaru smiled. So that's his blind spot, thought the 6-armed man. He jumped back, releasing more kunai from various traps at Niji. Niji began to spin to deflect most of them and started jumping away. Before he knew it, Kidumaru was out of his immediate sight. Kidumaru began to form a bow out of his steel-like webbing. He then made an arrow and attached it to some web in his mouth. He aimed for Niji's blind spot and fired. Niji stood panting when he heard something coming. His Byakugan couldn't see it, and that unnerved him as he began to run. He knew Kidumaru knew the secret of the blind spot now after Niji had been struck there multiple times. He ducked behind a tree only to see an arrow burst through the trunk, barely missing his head. He was frozen in panic at coming so close to death. He felt Kidumaru moving closer, remaining in his blind spot. Niji let out a sigh and waited. He heard the whistling sound of the arrow in the air. He took a breath and summoned all his chakra to his hands. He felt the arrow pierce the upper right side of his chest. Using all his will, he stood up and spun around. He touched the web it was attached to, sending a large amount of chakra towards Kidumaru, who didn't have enough time to disengage the web from his mouth. He was paralyzed by the chakra and was unable to move as Niji came rushing towards him. He began striking him multiple times at blinding speeds. He then kicked him in the jaw, sending him flying to the ground on his neck, breaking it. He landed on the ground beside the body moments later, panting for all his worth. His vision was fading and he began to close his eyes. Is it my fate to die here? Niji asked himself. The blood seeped through his wound, draining him. He then smiled. We all have curses, Niji. Some of us more than others. The only difference is I fight my curses with everything I have. If it is my fate, then I will just have to fight against it, said Niji with a smile before he passed out. Naruto and Shikamaru were the only ones left chasing. Kiba had stayed back to fight the one with silver hair. All that was left was the girl Tayuya. They were closing the gap by Naruto's senses. However, a new scent came into his sensitive nostrils. Someone appears to have joined her, said Naruto. Shikamaru nodded and they continued forward. Kimamaru, what the hell are you doing here? Asked Tayuya. You were all taking far too long, said Kimamaru. I was sent to retrieve the Uchiha from you. What is Orochimaru thinking? We can't handle dash. She was cut off as Naruto and Shikamaru made their way into the open plain. You were saying? Said Kimamaru sarcastically. Shut up, said Tayuya as she charged Shikamaru. He was pushed back into the forest and was chased deeper in it. Well, it looks like you'll be my opponent, said Kimamaru. He stuck out his hand and a bone began to come out. It soon fashioned itself into a makeshift sword. Naruto unsheathed his silver blade from his back. That's quite the technique you have there, said Naruto, giving a low whistle. My bloodline is one of the reasons I am able to be useful to my master, said Kimamaru as he attacked. Naruto parried his first thrust and swung back with his own sword. Kimimao blocked it with ease and kicked Naruto back. Naruto was sent flying through the air towards the forest. Kimamaru ran after his flying body at great speeds. Naruto slammed his sword into the ground, using it like a fin to steer himself over. He twisted, landed on his feet on the ground. Kimamaru, who was running so fast after him, couldn't stop in time when Naruto sent a counterattack with his sword. Kimamaru brought his bone sword up to block, but the momentum Naruto had from coming out of his fall straight into a counter allowed him to break Kimamaru's guard, sending the man crashing into the ground. Naruto brought his sword down to Kimamaru's neck to finish it, but the bone user was far from done. He spun on the ground and attempted to cleave Naruto's legs out from under him. Naruto jumped over the attack, and the two began to duel with each other. They struck blow for blow fast as lightning as they ran around the field. They would break apart only to meet up again for another onslaught of attacks. Naruto was getting nowhere fast. His opponent was just as good with a sword as he was. He reached for his cross-shaped necklace and was about to pull it off when something caught his attention. The barrel that the sound had been carrying all this time began to smoke. It exploded with intense force, causing both Naruto and Kimimaro to stumble slightly. Naruto waited for the smoke to clear, and when it did, he saw the back of his friend and teammate Sasuke. Naruto smiled. "Hey Sasuke, what you doing over there?" he said, expecting his friend to maybe help him out. Sasuke didn't say a word. He didn't ever turn around to glance at Naruto, and he just took off running. "Hey Sasuke, wait dash." Naruto was cut off as Kimimaro came down upon him. He moved so fast while Naruto had been distracted he couldn't block in time. He closed his eyes as a reaction and waited for the pain. Just before Kimimaro could finish him off, a kick slammed into his jaw. Naruto opened his eyes to stare at the newcomer. Rock Lee stood in front of him, his large eyebrows present and sticking out with all their glory. "Naruto, don't worry about him," said Lee. "You go after Sasuke." Naruto gave a small smile and nodded as he took off towards his fleeing teammate. Lee faced his new opponent. "You are either very brave or very foolish," said Kimimaro. "Either way, I don't have time to deal with." The bone user charged Lee with his sword ready to strike. To Kimimaru's immense surprise, Lee blocked the blade with his foot. Lee then bombarded him in a series of rapid punches. Kimimaru dodged the best he could, but was struck in the gut and sent sprawling back. "It seems I will have to take you more seriously," said Kimimaru, activating his seal. Bones jettisoned from his rib cage and various other places encasing him in spikes. "Oh crap," said Lee. Naruto ran at blinding speeds to catch up with Sasuke. Naruto was worried for his teammate. He wasn't acting like himself. It also bothered Naruto that he was having trouble keeping up with Sasuke's pace. He burst forth from the foliage into a large valley. Two large statues stood on opposite sides of a massive waterfall. Sasuke stood at the edge on top of one of the figures' heads, his back to Naruto. Naruto didn't know what it was, but the boy gave off an air of danger. "This place is called the Valley of the End," said Sasuke, keeping his back to Naruto. Naruto took a few steps closer. "I think the name is appropriate for the place you will die." Sasuke turned around at that black marks trailed up the side of his face. One eye was a golden hawk yellow, and the whites of his eye were black. Naruto knew just by looking at his friend that he wanted him dead. He grabbed the hilt of his sword and pulled it from the sheath. He stared down Sasuke with his ice-blue eyes. "You're coming back," said Naruto. Sasuke just smirked as he took his fighting stance. Naruto rushed forward and brought his sword down on Sasuke. Quick as lightning, Sasuke took out two kunai and blocked the blade. He started to spin them around on the palm of his hand, blocking every hit that Naruto threw. He just smirked again. "So this is Orochimaru's power," said Sasuke as he held Naruto off with little effort. Naruto backed off of him and got in his stance again. His eyes narrowed. He rushed forward speed faster than Sasuke predicted. In a flash, Naruto was behind him. Sasuke looked at his kunai as they broke apart, having been cut by Naruto's sword. "Next time it will be you," said Naruto, letting the threat hang in the air. Sasuke began to chuckle, and soon it erupted into a full-blown laugh. "You really are the most surprising ninja dobe," said Sasuke, a smirk never leaving his face. "You are my best friend, Naruto. No one deserves that title more than you. It gives it more meaning when I kill you." Naruto was shocked even though he didn't show it on his face. Here was his best friend, and he was openly talking about killing him with pleasure. Naruto looked at the marks on his neck. He knew that most of what Sasuke was saying was coming from the heart, but the general insane attitude and him acting on the instincts to kill was most likely the seal. Sasuke formed the seals for the Chidori and charged. Naruto brought up his sword quick to block. The Chidori struck into the silver blade, and said blade was knocked out of his hands. The Chidori was still going for Naruto's chest, so he started backtracking with his feet. As he was moving back, he slammed his hands together and started to form the Rasengan. Once it was complete, he slammed it against the Chidori. The two jutsus exploded when they met, sending both boys flying back. Naruto was the first to get up. He stared across the expanse of water towards Sasuke, who was getting up. The seal had completely spread across his body. His eyes had reverted back to normal, only to blaze moments later with the Sharingan. Naruto looked at his friend with a slight bit of shock. He was also very angry. His wolf eyes could see from here that Sasuke had unlocked the next stage in the Sharingan. Naruto brought his hand to the cross-shaped necklace, knowing that the fight was about to get really serious. He ripped it off, not bothering to take any of his clothes off, realizing Sasuke wouldn't give him time. To his surprise, the Chunin jacket didn't rip, it expanded to his new size. However, the same could not be said for the rest of his clothes, as his shirt was torn, and pants were shredded. His sandals ripped and remained torn on his now clawed feet. Once the transformation was done, he ran at the Uchiha with speed that the Sharingan could barely see. However, it was still able to give Sasuke enough foresight to dodge the attacks. Sasuke was slightly panicking as Naruto attacked in his new form. He had never fought him like this, and now knew what any of his opponents would feel it they did. Fear. There was just something utterly terrifying about a beast as vicious as Naruto was. His teeth were bared and claws were out. His slit blue eyes sent a constant wave of killer intent out. Whether Naruto knew that last part, he did not know. Naruto threw both his feet into a powerful kick, sending Sasuke crashing into the cliff wall. He had created a small crater and stood slightly. He stared in horrified awe as Naruto ran at him on the water on all fours. Sasuke gave a small panicked scream as he lunged kunai at Naruto. Naruto swiftly dodged all of them with little effort. He threw his right clawed hand forward at Sasuke and connected. Sasuke was pushed deeper into the cliff. Naruto then grabbed Sasuke's shoulder and arm with his one hand, drawing blood with his claws. He then picked him up and slammed him on the valley floor. Sasuke coughed up a bit of blood on impact. Naruto threw him across the water. Sasuke got up as Naruto ran towards him. Sasuke couldn't believe the way Naruto was fighting. It was completely animalistic. In Naruto's mind, the Kyuubi was trying frantically to get the shadow of the wolf to leave. Naruto was falling prey to the wolf's bloodlust, and the Kyuubi was having extreme difficulty getting his chakra to contain the wolf gene. "Damn," said the Kyuubi. Sasuke stared at Naruto and then into his eyes. Sasuke's own eyes widened in surprise at what he saw. Naruto's eyes were no longer the ice blue with slits. They had changed to a golden hawk color that shone with utter madness. Sasuke knew at that moment that Naruto was in some sort of primal stage where he was more beast than man. He activated the second stage of the curse seal and took on a demonic appearance. Sasuke created a black Chidori in lightning speed and slammed into Naruto's shoulder. The beast howled and backhanded Sasuke away into the cliff again. With his new seal active, Sasuke barely felt the hit and immediately got up. Naruto's eyes flashed in a gold light and then he howled. To Sasuke's surprise, the wound closed up completely. Naruto stared at Sasuke still with his animalistic eyes. Shikamaru was in trouble. The fight had started out difficult, as his opponent was obviously more powerful. However, he had evened the playing field with his intelligence. He had successfully defeated her giants, even after she activated something on her neck, which caused strange marks to appear on her body. However, now her body had completely changed as she turned into some sort of demon with long horns. He had managed to get her in a shadow bind, but she was steadily breaking free from it. He was frightened as his hold was broken and he was punched back into a tree with amazing force. He stood up shakily as the Tayuya slowly stalked toward him. But then he felt a small gust of wind. He gave a small smirk. Tayuya raised an eyebrow but was then blown away by a fierce wind current. A blonde girl with her hair in 4 ponytails landed on the tree branch in front of Shikamaru. "What took you?" asked Shikamaru slightly sarcastically. He had heard the Hokage say something about re-establishing the treaty with Sand. She had even told him as the squad's leader that they may receive help. "The Hokage was filling us in," said Temari nonchalantly. "The rest of your squad has been rounded up by my brother and some jounin from your village. They're being treated there as we speak." "I see, thank you," said Shikamaru. "All that's left is you, the Lee guy who fought my brother. Apparently he escaped the hospital to help, and finally, Naruto," said Temari. Shikamaru stared at her. He noticed her cheeks turned a small shade of pink at the mention of the last name. "Troublesome," said Shikamaru. Temari bit her thumb and rubbed the blood on her fan. She swung it and a ferret with a large scythe appeared. He became a blade of wind as its destructive force cut down nearly the entire forest. Shikamaru was in slight state of shock at the sight of the damage. He observed that Tayuya was long gone, buried under all the trees, most likely dead. "Well, shall we go find Naruto?" she asked. It was an obvious answer, so they left before Shikamaru had to say a word. Gaara blinked at the frozen form of Kimamaru. The man was clearly dead. He had almost got Gaara with his last attack but died before he could complete it. Lee was panting on his floating cloud of sand behind him. The entire field had erupted in giant bones. Temari appeared on his cloud with Shikamaru. "We need to find Naruto now," said Temari to her little brother. It almost sounded like an order. Gaara did not want to get on Temari's bad side. It was funny, normally it was Gaara in control, because his brother and sister had feared him. But ever since he had come to peace with his own mind and subdued his own demon, he found himself on the receiving end of friendly sister beatings. Even though it was different and sometimes painful, Gaara loved it. He felt loved, wanted. To him he now had a true family, and it was all thanks to Uzumaki Naruto. Sasuke charged another Chidori, and Naruto formed a Rasengan. Apparently he still had enough consciousness to do it. They ran at each other and slammed their two attacks together. Both of them battled for dominance, not giving in to the other. But finally Naruto started to win. He pushed with his beastly strength and Sasuke was caught in the chest with the Rasengan. It didn't puncture him, but it still had the forceful spinning effect which sent him sprawling back into the cliff. He coughed up massive amounts of blood on the impact and was falling unconscious. He stared at Naruto's slowly approaching figure. He wouldn't be surprised in the least if Naruto ate him. He obviously was a wolf like those in the stories that ate people, sheep, livestock, etc. The wolf stopped in the center of the field and started to howl, holding his head. Red chakra spun around his neck, burning him. In Naruto's mindscape, the Kyuubi had succeeded in freeing Naruto from his bloodlust. Naruto was in his wolf form, pushing the dark wolf shadow off of him. Kyuubi's chakra was spinning around the shadow's neck, pulling it back as well as pushing Naruto away. "Just a little more," said the Kyuubi. In the outside world, the chakra had formed the all-too-familiar cross-shaped necklace. Naruto's body instantly began to shrink down into his human form. Once he had changed back, he stumbled forward. He stared at Sasuke for only a second before he fell down and passed out. "Sasuke-kun," said a voice next to Sasuke. He looked over and saw the face of Kabuto. "Orochimaru-sama sent me to get you now." He saw Kabuto take out one of his special kunai and begin to walk over to Naruto's unconscious form. "And oh wait," said Sasuke. Kabuto stopped and looked back. "Let him live for now." "Why?" asked Kabuto, raising a curious eyebrow. "I must be the one to kill him," said Sasuke. "But not today. I need to beat him flat out, to prove my strength to myself." Kabuto just nodded. "Very well," he said. Temari was the first of the group to break out of the forest to the Valley of the End. She gazed on at the scene with a slight bit of surprise. It was obvious that a battle had been fought. Gaara came out of the forest next with Lee. Shikamaru lazily came out next. They all looked down to the valley floor where they saw an unconscious figure lying there. They all immediately rushed down to see the prone form of Naruto. Temari came to his side and flipped his body over to feel for a pulse. "It's okay, he's just unconscious," said Temari. They looked around the valley and took note that Sasuke wasn't there. "Looks like this mission was a failure," said Shikamaru. Temari looked at his silver necklace and saw steam rising from the skin it touched. She immediately went to remove it, but a hand stopped her. It was Gaara's. "That necklace seals off one of his demons," said Gaara. "Do not remove it." A sand bed made its way under Naruto, lifting him up. "We should head back to Konoha." Sakura slowly trudged up the hospital steps with a flower in hand. She had heard that the mission was a failure, and now her teammate was in the hospital. Sakura couldn't help but feel guilty at him being there. She drew ever closer to his door and finally opened it. To her immense surprise, the sand girl was there. Sakura looked down sadly. I couldn't even be the first one to visit despite the fact I'm his teammate, thought Sakura. How is he? Asked Sakura to Temari. The sand girl looked up at her. Because he is a werewolf, his body has already healed. Not to mention the doctors said he's always had good healing, said Temari. Right now he's just resting. Sakura let out a sigh of relief as she walked over to his nightstand to place the flowers down. She saw 2 sets of flowers already there. Did you give these to him? Asked Sakura. Temari shook her head. I was one of the people who brought him back. I haven't left this room. It was a Hyuga and that blonde girl you fought in the Chunin Exams, said Temari. She had a suspicion that the Hyuga had a crush on him, so she wasn't surprised that she brought a flower. But Ino was a surprise. She had noted lately how much friendlier she had become with the wolf boy. She then looked at Temari. You haven't left this room? Asked Sakura. Temari froze in her seat hearing the accusation in the girl's question. She blushed a shade of pink. Well, I mean, I don't have anywhere to be and I am worried about him, said Temari. The blush never left her face. I have to go find Tsunade-sama and ask her something, said Sakura. Will you please come find me when he wakes up? Temari nodded. Sakura headed for the door but turned around and looked at the two briefly. Temari seemed to be in her own world as she stared at the boy in the hospital bed. Sakura couldn't help but feel a small twinge of jealousy at this. But she ignored the feeling and walked away. As she walked down the hall, she noticed Tenten enter the room as well. Sakura just raised a curious eyebrow at the fact that Naruto was getting so many visitors of the opposite sex. Naruto slowly opened his eyes to the hospital ceiling. His whole body ached and he was sore all over. He slowly looked over at the clock on his nightstand. It flashed 7 a.m. He noticed a figure sleeping in a chair close to his bed. His eyes adjusted some more and he noticed it was the girl from the sand. Temari, thought Naruto curiously. He looked at her and noticed a bit of drool coming out of her mouth. He gave a small laugh but held it down. Naruto looked over to the nightstand noticing 3 separate flowers as well as a get well card. He picked up the card and stared at it. It had a picture of a wolf in a bed with an ice pack on his head and a thermometer in its mouth. It just said, "Get well soon. Tenten." Ah, Naruto, said Temari waking up. You're awake. How are you? I'm feeling good, Temari, said Naruto. Were you here all night? Temari blushed only slightly and nodded. Yeah, well, most of it, said Temari. Naruto stared at her for a moment before deciding to get up. His chest was bare for all to see and his stomach was wrapped up in bandages. Temari eyed his scar on his upper right shoulder and chest. Is that where the wolf got you? Asked Temari. Naruto nodded. Who told you I was a werewolf? Asked Naruto. Well, the whole changing into a wolf thing kind of told me because I've never heard of a clan or jutsu with that ability, said Temari. And Gaara told me after you two had fought. Apparently his demon knew what it was. How is Gaara? Asked Naruto. Human, said Temari happily. And it's thanks to you. Naruto looked at her. Anyone could see the appreciation showing in her eyes. After his fight with you, Gaara is acting like my little brother. He gets scared when I'm angry and does things boys his age should do, said Temari. Even though I'm not proud of it, I even caught him staring at girl through her window as she undressed in our village. Naruto let out a laugh at this. Suddenly Temari got on her knees and bowed down. Thank you, she said. Naruto was very surprised at her gratitude. Not only for Gaara but for saving my life as well. Temari was blushing as she said those words. It was nothing. I'm glad I could help, said Naruto. Well, anyway, I'm going to go find Sakura, said Temari. She said she wanted to know the minute you woke up. Temari left the room and Naruto smiled as he walked over to the open window. His smile disappeared though as he remembered about Sasuke. He had failed to bring him back and worse, he had lost control. I could have killed him instead of saving him, thought Naruto. He was scarred at what it was like when he lost control. He didn't care about anything and his mind was completely focused on one thing, to kill his enemy. Yo, brat, said the perverted hermit from under the window. Naruto jumped back in surprise. Jiraiya was sticking below the window with his chakra. "What do you want, Jiraiya?" asked Naruto. "Wow, so cold, no glad to see you, All Might Sensei," said Jiraiya. Naruto just let out a sigh. "Well, anyway, listen, you and me are going to leave the village soon." Naruto's eyes flashed with surprise. "What? Why?" asked Naruto. "I'm going to train you," said Jiraiya, "and I need to be traveling to learn about the sound. Plus, there is a certain organization that is after you. It would be better if you weren't here for a while." "But I need to save Sasuke," said Naruto looking down. "Yeah, about that. Listen, don't worry, Orochimaru won't be able to switch with him for at least 3 years," said Jiraiya. "He got impatient waiting for Sasuke, so he already switched to a body. He won't be able to use the jutsu for 3 more years." "I see," said Naruto. "When do we leave?" "In a couple of days," said Jiraiya. "Well, I'll leave you to your friends for now." Jiraiya left in a swirl of leaves, and not long after did Sakura run into his room. He turned to greet her. Before he could say anything, she ran towards him and gave him a hug. Naruto was more than a little surprised by this. He felt tears on his chest coming from the pink-haired girl. "Naruto, I'm sorry," said Sakura. "You got hurt because of me." "That's okay, Sakura," said Naruto. "If anything, I should be the one apologizing." Naruto looked away from her at the ground. "I failed to bring him back. But next time I will keep my promise and bring him back." Sakura looked up at him. He had definitely gotten taller. He stood even with Sasuke-kun's height. "Next time we'll do it together," said Sakura. Naruto nodded and broke the hug. "I have to go see Shikamaru and the others," said Naruto. Sakura nodded. "I'll show you their rooms," said Sakura. Many cloaked figures stood at the edge of the forests on top of the Hokage mountain. Jean gave a wicked smile from underneath his cloak as he snapped his fingers. Several cloaked figures stepped forward carrying a large jar with its top covered. They took off the top and a green gas shot from it. As it went higher in the air, it began to disappear, spreading over the village. "We make our move tonight," said Jean. The other figures nodded. Naruto walked down the hall, Sakura towing behind him. He turned the corner and bumped into Tsunade. Naruto looked up at her. A flash of concern had gone through the woman's eyes, if only for a second. "Hey Tsunade," said Naruto. "Listen, am I free to go? I feel fine." She just looked at him for a bit. "Yeah, you seem all right," she said, seeming distracted. He began to walk away and turned the next corner. Tsunade looked at the necklace she had given him as he went around the corner. She had been having a feeling of dread for a small while now about the boy. She didn't know what it was, but she was worried. "Please don't let that necklace claim another person I care for," she thought. Naruto walked into a rather large hospital room where the entire Rookie 9 plus guys team were gathered. Kiba, Chuji, and Niji all lied in a hospital bed. "Hey Naruto, how come you can move around?" shouted out Kiba. "Because I'm awesome," said Naruto jokingly. The others laughed. "Well, I just came to see how everyone's doing. Glad you ain't dead, Kiba." "Ha ha ha, very funny," said Kiba. Naruto spent hours in that room with his friends. He didn't know why, but something instinctual told him to cherish the moment. He looked out the window. The sun was beginning to set. He saw a small green vapor, but he blinked and it was gone. He played it off as his imagination. "Well, it's getting late. Anyone want to join me for some ramen?" asked Naruto. To his surprise, everyone raised their hands. Well, all except Chuji, Niji, and Kiba, being they couldn't go. "Don't worry guys, we'll bring you back something." They all left the hospital and headed for the ramen stand. Naruto rounded the corner and for the second time that day bumped into Tsuanda. "Tsuanda, we got to stop meeting like this," said Naruto. "People might start to talk." Tsunade just smiled. "Well, sorry, but being the Hokage means I have to be all over the place. Thanks you so much for the job," she said. "Yeah, well, we were just all going out to get some ramen. Want to come?" he asked. He expected her to say no, but asked anyway. "Hell yeah," she said. "They serve sake at the place, right?" "Well, yeah, but what about Hokage duties and all?" said Naruto. "Screw Hokage, I want to get drunk," said Tsunade. The group made their way to the stand. When they entered, they again saw familiar faces. Jiraiya was planted in the floor with a perverted blush on his face, and standing over him was a mortified Temari. Her face was red with anger. Gaara stood in back of her looking ready to kill the pervert. Kakashi was by him trying to calm him down. "Well, if it isn't Uzumaki Naruto," said the chef. "I heard you were dead." "Nope, still alive and hungry," said Naruto. They all placed their orders and waited. Naruto thought this would be as good a time as any to tell them. "Hey guys, can I tell you something?" They all looked at him curiously and nodded. "Well, Jiraiya and I were talking and well, I'm going to be leaving the village for a while," said Naruto. The affects of the news were instant as Sakura stood up. "Why?" she asked. "I need to train, but Sakura, I intend to keep my promise," said Naruto. They all looked over to the current Hokage. "Jiraiya has already discussed this with me," said Tsunade. They all looked sad but didn't let it affect the night. Tenten and Ino scooted closer to his side. Naruto didn't really notice though, as he was too busy with his ramen. However, Temari and the others did notice. Temari glared daggers at the two. Hinata looked embarrassed and Sakura didn't know what to do. They all talked and joked while they ate. "Hey Naruto, can I see your sword?" asked Tenten. Jiraiya spitted out his ramen as he began to laugh. I have to write that line down," said Jiraiya with a perverted grin. Tsunade floored him in an instant. "Yeah, sure, why?" asked Naruto. "It is one of the finest my dad has ever made. I just want to see how you're treating it," said Tenten. Naruto nodded and handed her his sword. She unsheathed the blade. "Well, it's in good condition, but it's a little dirty," said Tenten. "If you want, I can take it tonight and polish it up for you." Naruto smiled. "That sounds good," said Naruto. She nodded and continued to look at the blade. "Naruto-kun, when will you be back?" asked Hinata finally. 2 years, 2.5 tops," said Naruto. The girl nodded. Shino leaned over to Shikamaru. "Is it just me, or is Naruto very popular with the girls all of a sudden?" asked Shino. Shikamaru was surprised that Shino had asked such a trivial question. "It's all troublesome," said Shikamaru. The cook, who was behind the counter, began to cough for a bit. It didn't affect the meal though. "So Naruto, you think you can make jounin?" asked Tsunade. Before Naruto could answer, Gaara and Tsunade erupted in a series of coughs. "You two all right?" asked Jiraiya. They both nodded. The meal was delicious and Naruto patted his belly. "Hey Tsunade, do you think you can pay for all this?" asked Naruto. A vein appeared in her forehead, but she sighed in defeat. "Fine," said Tsunade. Naruto smiled and they all exited the ramen stand. They came out on the dark streets. All was quiet and it was slightly unnerving. "Something's wrong," said Kakashi, getting ready. The others nodded and took stances as well. Before they could do anything, several of them started coughing. Howling was heard in the distance, and before anyone could blink, they were all on the ground held by clawed hands. All except for Naruto and Gaara. Gaara was surrounded by cloaked figures. Naruto looked ready to fight when he saw the beasts holding his friends. He looked around the streets and saw many. Some were even holding villagers as a small crowd started to form. He couldn't believe the sight of the creatures. They were werewolves just like him. "Uzumaki Naruto," said a figure stepping forward. He had the darkest red eyes. "You will come with us." Naruto growled and got ready to attack. "Before you do that, there is something you may want to know. This goes for you, Umbu, as well," said the figure. Umbu shinobi stood up on the roofs, and before they could react, they too were held down by clawed hands. "What is it?" said Naruto. Instantly several people started to cough at the same time. "We have released a rare poison in the air," said the figure. "It has been spreading about the village all day. By now everyone is infected." Naruto's eyes widened in disbelief. "What?" said Naruto. "We have a cure," said the figure as he held out a small vial. "This will be for your leader, as she is an expert mednin." He snapped his fingers and several figure approached with a huge box. "In this box are the ingredients needed for the antidote. I'm sure she can make it in no time," said the figure. but it will have to be distributed immediately or else everyone will start dying in 2 days. Swanda lied on the ground in shock at what she was hearing. Of course, this is only to ensure they don't follow us when we take you, he said, pointing at Naruto. If you don't agree now, well. He snapped his fingers again and the figures started to choke some of the villagers as well as Tenten and Ino. Stop, stop, shouted out Naruto. Come with us, said the stranger with red eyes. Naruto looked back at his precious people as clawed hands on their throats held them, beginning to draw blood. All right, said Naruto. The figure smiled as he snapped his fingers. A few other cloaked figures stepped forward, bringing what could only be described as a device for torture. Chained body cuffs were brought forth. Naruto could tell from here they were made from silver. On the inner rims of the cuff, small spikes a half an inch long stuck out. The figures drew closer to him and ripped off his shirt. They placed one of the bigger cuffs around his waist and clapped it shut. Naruto screamed as the silver spikes entered, burning him and drawing large amounts of blood. They then placed one around his chest and the same thing happened. They were placed around his arms and then his wrists. His captors even seemed to wince as they placed the cuffs on him. Well, all except for the one with red ice. Blood fell from his body onto the floor as he fell to his knees. He felt completely drained, an effect of the silver now in his body. The pain was intense, but he had endured the pain of the full moon all night. And compared to that, this was nothing, but it was still painful. Naruto, said Tsunade as tears spilled from her eyes at the sight of him. He looked up at all of them. Not a single one was unaffected by what was being done to him. Gaara was about to attack. I wouldn't, Gaara of the desert, said the figure as he pointed to his sister, who was now being gripped harder. Gaara looked defeated at that. Naruto looked at them and mouthed out, "Don't worry," and tried to give a reassuring grin. They only seemed to break down more at that. His eyes finally landed on Sakura's and shame overwhelmed him. He knew he wouldn't be able to fulfill his promise now. He mouthed out to her, "I'm sorry." The red-eyed stranger gave a yank on his shackles, drawing even more blood. Even those in their hybrid form winced at that. He walked over to Tsunade, who was still being held down, and forced her to drink the antidote. She did. If you start working now, you can have the antidote done by tomorrow afternoon, he said. You can then start distributing it through the village. If you're lucky, no one will die. Tsunade looked ready to kill the figure, but she looked at Naruto and he shook his head to tell her to listen. She nodded. The figure went over to Naruto's shackles and grabbed them again. He nodded. They blinked and they were all gone, Naruto included. The Umbu members looked ready to give chase, but most of them immediately started coughing. Tsunade looked down. The poison was a real threat. She had been backed into a corner and forced to watch as one of her last cherished ones was taken. She walked over to the box and found the ingredients. She examined the bottle that had antidote in it. She knew the formula from the smell and by seeing the herbs gathered. She began to work right there in the street, holding in her tears, but even so they escaped. Jiraiya came up behind her and wrapped her in a hug, and she openly wept. Chapter 9. Sakura sat on the floor of her bedroom with a blank look on her face. She looked completely lifeless as she stared out at the picture of her team. It had been recently retaken to show Naruto with his new hair color. In the picture, he had his arms wrapped around both Sasuke, who was brooding, and Sakura, who was blushing with anger. He was giving the peace sign with both his hands. Kakashi was above them reading his book. Her face was still blank, but tear stains were on her cheeks. Her mouth was open, only slightly, showing how detached from the world she was at the moment. Sasuke-kun, Naruto-kun, no, she thought. Blood dripped down from his body as he screamed in pain from the body cuffs being attached. Tears fell from her eyes as she placed her hands over them. She then quietly sobbed her heart out. Both her parents stood outside her room holding each other in tears as well. Their little girl was crying and it pained them to no end. Not to mention Naruto, a boy they had the utmost respect for, was most likely dead. They heard a painful cry erupt from their daughter's room as she continued to let it all out. Temari walked beside Gaara as they left the village of Konoha behind. She was currently deep in thought. Gaara gave her a worried glance, but he knew what it was about. He too was affected by the taking of Naruto. Gaara, said Temari. Gaara looked at her and noticed tears barely being held back from spilling out of her eyes. Will we find him? When we get back I am going to bring this up with Baki, said Gaara. Baki was currently filling in until an appropriate Kazekage could be found. At the moment he was the one with the authority to organize a search party. Tenten stood in the middle of her room clutching the sword Naruto had left with her. She had taken it in the confidence she would give it back in a day or two after she had polished it. Now it was the only thing she had left of him. All the girls were affected, as were the boys, only in the way brothers would be. There was not a single one of them that did not respect Naruto. He had willingly gone with the monsters to save them all. To the surprise of many, a good portion of the village now respected the boy after hearing what he had done. And many more were now uncertain of what to think of him. The point being, when the village held a celebration to the demon being taken, not many showed up. The Hokage sat in her office staring at a photo that had been taken when she came back with Naruto. She, Jiraiya, Shizune and Naruto were all in it smiling. Jiraiya trying to do something perverted. She began to cry again. It surprised her that after days doing this she still had tears to give. Naruto, was all she said. Umbu had been sent out numerous times finding nothing. They couldn't even find a trail inside the village either. The beasts had just vanished along with one of Konoha's greatest citizens. Naruto was in a daze as he woke up. He was currently being gently bobbed up and down. This signified something, or someone was carrying him. His eyes adjusted to being awake. How long had he been out? A couple of hours? A couple of days? He didn't know, however he did know he was nowhere near Konoha anymore. A man of giant build was currently carrying him. He had battle scars all over him and one long one across his face cutting through an eye and his mouth. His skin was darker and tan, signifying he was out a lot. His hair was short and pulled back. He looked around and observed no one in the transformed state. He took a sniff of the air and smelled blood. It took him a while to figure out it was his own. When he tried to move, the body cuffs stung every part of his body, sapping his strength away from him. He took a look at his surrounding and noticed they were in the mountains rather high up as far as he could tell. There were still plenty of trees growing around though. "Ah, you're awake," said the man carrying him, noticing he stirred. He was hastily dropped on the ground. He gave a small grunt of pain as the impact had drove some of the silver spikes deeper into his body. The man winced. "Jean, why?" the man asked himself. Flashback. "Be as rough with him as possible," said Jean. "It is the only way to keep our safety." "But why? Why any of this?" said the man. "Those cuffs are only meant to be used on the highest of werewolf criminals. To use it on a boy so young. He is dangerous, Goza," said Jean. "Don't be fooled by him." Jean looked around at his companions. All of them were hesitant with what to do. Jean gave an angry growl. "If you're not rough, you are defying the elder," said Jean. This instantly got a response as they all became silent and obedient. End flashback. Goza held the chains which were connected to the cuffs. He gave a yank to force the boy to follow on foot. Blood seeped over the cuffs as he pulled, an action which sickened Goza to no end. They continued on to a place where they could all rest home. The journey lasted a couple more hours, all of which felt like an eternity for Naruto. Finally they came to it. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. It was a plateau at the top of the mountain. On it was a large forest, and at the edge of the forest was a smaller mountain that was only a couple 100 feet high. The group made its way through the trees, and when Naruto reached the end he was surprised beyond belief. It was a small clearing with many grass houses, all at the base of the smaller mountain. Said mountain had more houses built into it, and Naruto could see a large cave entrance into the mountain. He guessed that most of it was hollowed out. As he was paraded through the village, he saw many women and children, all of them staring at him with shock. He noticed that most of the women were on the verge of tears at the sight of him. He wondered why. Eventually they all came to an abrupt halt. Naruto used most of his strength to lift his head. The silver was draining him badly. In front of him stood an old man adorned in robes, with a long white beard. The man gave off a presence of power and kindness. That took Naruto aback. He hadn't felt a presence like that since Sarutobi, As a matter of fact, that's exactly who the man reminded him of. "Jean," said the man before looking at Naruto. A look of pity flashed through the man's eyes only for a second. "You will put him in the outdoor holding cell." What?" said Jean. "Elder, he must be held in the deepest of our dungeons." "Jin," said the man taking a not-so-friendly tone. "You have yet to give me a good reason for any of this, and now I see that he is in the binds. He will be given the pleasure of being able to bath in the moonlight every night as a werewolf should. This is non-negotiable." Jean visibly flinched. "Yes, Elder. And I wish to make another thing clear. I don't trust what you are doing. Therefore I will be watching him every step of the way. Understand?" said the Elder. Jean straightened his posture, then bowed. "Yes, Elder." The Elder took a hold of Naruto's chains and, unlike the others, gently led Naruto to his cage. He was led into a cell that was built directly into the mountain from the outside. He could tell from here the bars were silver. Once he was in the cell, the Elder began taking off his bindings. It was almost as painful as putting them on. When he was done, Naruto crumpled to the ground and slowly crawled to a wall for support. He leaned his head against the wall and started panting. Sweat and blood streamed down his body. His wounds slowly began to seal up and his body began to heal. His arms were placed limply on the ground beside him as he sat. Naruto looked up at the cell bars and saw a small crowd had gathered in front of it. There were various looks from all the faces, ranging from looks of interest to pity. He still didn't quite understand why some of the women were crying at the sight of him. He did notice that they seemed to all have children and began to hug them closer to their bodies. Naruto wondered what he looked like right now: weak, disgusting, tired. He had a feeling it was all three. His eyelids grew heavy and all he wanted to do was sleep, and soon that pleasure took him. "Goza, honey, are you all right?" asked a woman who looked to be in her later 30s. She had long black hair and golden eyes. "Daddy!" shouted out a gray-haired little girl running towards him. "I'm fine, Sheena. It's just I'm beginning to question Jin's mental state," said Goza. "We used the binds on a boy no older than 13 for no apparent reason. Jin said the order came from the Elder, but when we got back the Elder was shocked about it." 13? That's just cruel," said Sheena. She, like many of the women, began to tear up. "I know," he said. "I will ask the Elder tomorrow." Jin quickly walked through to his hut. He opened the door and rushed in. "Big brother," said a black-haired boy around 9. "Welcome back, Jin," said Kira, sitting in the corner near a fire reading. He didn't say anything and quickly walked over to his workbench, which was on the other side of the room. When he reached it, he pulled 2 syringes from the drawer. He left the hut without saying a word. "Is brother upset?" asked the boy Koda. "I'm not sure," said Kira. She got up and left to follow. She reached the outdoor holding cell to see her brother talking with the Elder. "You gave me permission to experiment on him for the safety of the village," said Jean. "Yes, if you do not produce results to show me what logical act you are doing for the pact by the end of the month, I'm stopping you," said the Elder. Kira took a look in the cell and was more than a little shocked at the sight of the sleeping boy. In her 13 years of life, she had never seen something so brutal be done to someone so young. However, she did grow up around these sort of things. That is probably why she was almost completely unaffected by it. She watched her brother walk into the cage and take to blood samples from the unconscious boy. He exited quickly and then spotted her. She saw a smile come onto his face as his red eyes met her violet ones. He walked up to her and leaned forward to whisper in her ear, "You're the only one I can trust. I want you to be my guard over him. Study him and tell me everything," he said. She nodded. Sometimes she didn't understand her brother, but she trusted him with her life. She would eventually regret that trust. Chapter 10. Naruto paced his cell in a sluggish, almost feverish manner. It was well into the late hours of the night, and yet he couldn't sleep. Not while he was being confined like an animal. Naruto paused and gave a laugh at irony. However, his restraints tightened up around his body as he chuckled, causing double over in pain. Fresh blood could be seen dripping from his silver bands, and light steam rising off his skin. Naruto remembered how relieved he had been when the elder had taken the binds off him. He also remembered how much he loathed Jin for putting them back. Naruto had bit the man in the hand good too after he had done so. It hurt, but that could be expected, as his confinement was not meant to be comfortable. He stumbled over to the silver bars of his cage and looked outside. At least they gave me a view, thought Naruto as he stared up into the midnight sky, onto the moon. It was a serene scene, and Naruto had found as of late that the moon brought him comfort. He speculated that it was his wolf's blood, but then again he had always liked the moon. How long had he been in captivity he was not sure, but he dreaded the coming of the full moon, especially with his new companions. Naruto doubted that a demon being sealed inside a werewolf, controlling his beast, was commonplace. Questions might be asked or they may just kill him. Naruto moved to the side of his bars and let his back slump against the wall. He looked over at the shadows, the moonlight erected within his cell, his mind slowly going into far deeper thoughts. Why am I here? He had never given the subject much thought. He had just accepted that he was kidnapped. But now he wondered. He wondered for what possible purpose he had been taken for. He understood that perhaps werewolves were not meant to remain by themselves, but then why did no one approach him? Only the snake of a man who captured him came close. He came with a large needle and would draw blood from him almost daily. It made Naruto feel sick to remember the satisfaction that would show in the man's eyes as he did so. Naruto perked his head up though. There is that one scent also. Since he'd been brought to this place, one scent had lingered in his nostrils. Even now it was present, hidden somewhere, watching him. He found the scent to be rather soothing and even a tad enticing. A spice for his nostrils, as it were. Naruto sat himself against the walls of his prison, allowing himself to surrender to the peace of his cell. No noise or other such bothersome things truly came to him at these moments. A week. I've decided I've been here a week, he said in his mind. The cracking of sticks sounded. Someone was now approaching him. He gave a sniff of the air. Several people were approaching. Guys, let's go back. No, I want to see the criminal. I've never seen these cells being used before. What do you think he did? Mommy says only dangerous people go here. Kids, were Naruto's thoughts. They spoke in low whispers, obviously thinking he wouldn't hear them. They all sounded rather young. Come on guys, we have to go. Onaizen won't like it if we are here, and I heard Wonshin is guarding this place, said one boy from the group. However, the footsteps continued to grow louder as Naruto's visitors came closer. Koda, don't be such a scaredy pup, said one of the boy's friends, a brown-haired boy of about 13. Naruto smirked to himself at how normal these children seemed to act. While his own childhood had been rather deprived, he had seen constantly how groups of the village children would behave. Some were mischievous, others were cry-babies. Apparently in a werewolf village, these things were no exception. Naruto lifted his head and stared straight across his cell. He had rested on the wall adjacent to the door. Already he was able to see the shadowy silhouettes of the children. With what remaining strength he possessed, Naruto lifted himself off the ground into an upright position. He slowly walked to the front of his cell. Holy crap! Is that him? Shouted one of the kids. Little boys and girls should not be out this late, stated Naruto. He noticed how all the kids flinched back as he spoke. Fear was in their eyes. They were afraid of him, and for good reason. Naruto was quite unaware at the time, but his body was dripping with crimson blood. His hair was wild and unkempt, and with the moonlight hitting him at such an angle his cold blue eyes stood out. You should listen to Koda and go home. They all nearly passed out once he had mentioned their friend's name. How do you know Koda? Asked one of the braver boys. Naruto tilted his head and gave a small smile. It was kind of hard to miss when you said it so loud, stated Naruto, who then began to laugh, despite the rough chains binding him and making him bleed. The boy had the decency to look embarrassed. Shut up, he said, taking a brave step forward. Why you can't intimidate us? Because you're trapped real good behind those bars. He spoke with mock confidence. Sweat was clearly visible on his person. Naruto perked his head up and the smell of the one intoxicating scent moving. "You really should stay away from him," said a honey-laced voice. All the kids turned around at once. "Kira," said the majority of the group in surprise, while another lone voice muttered, "Wunchin." A girl with beautiful midnight black hair stepped forward. The moonlight only managed to graze her upper body, leaving her face shrouded. However, her startling violet eyes stood out. Naruto couldn't help but notice how well endowed she was, having just the right curves in just the right places. A faint blush descended upon his face, and his ear picked up an extra beat. "You should be careful around the prisoner. He's very dangerous," she warned. Finally, she stepped into full view, and Naruto found his heart begin to race even faster. She held an aristocratic face, high cheekbones, but one smoothed over with pale ivory skin. Her full pink lips seemed to shine with an unknown glaze in the moonlight. Naruto briefly wondered if she was a model, but remembered where he was. "So you're the one who's been watching me," stated Naruto, staring at her face to gauge a reaction. She showed little surprise at his statement. "You all better leave before Jean finds out you were trespassing, or your parents," she stated. The kids all paled considerably and turned around on a dime. Naruto heard the girl give the smallest of giggles. He sent her a questioning gaze, which she just seemed to ignore. She then looked over at him for a moment, as if regarding him. "Tell me, if those kids had gotten any closer to the bars, would you have taken advantage of one of them?" "Nope," said Naruto nonchalantly. "Not smart enough to do that." He gave a foxy grin at her. "So what's your name?" She walked over to the bars and stared at him, crossing her arms over her chest. "What's so special about you anyways?" she asked. Naruto got the distinct feeling she already knew some of the answer. He shrugged in indifference. "No clue." She gazed at him, a serious expression carved into her face. Then suddenly a smile was cracked, and then she erupted into laughter. "You really are just a baka, aren't you?" she stated. "Don't even know why you're here. Such a child." "Hey, look who's talking. How old are you?" he asked. She stopped laughing and blushed the slightest. "Why, you should never ask a woman her age." "So my age, huh?" he said. She blushed even further. He then grinned. "I don't see why you're so dangerous," she stated with a superior look in her eyes. "You look quite pathetic to me." Naruto dropped his head and went over to a corner where he dropped down. "You never told me your name." "I never felt like giving it," she shot back. Naruto simply nodded, becoming very quiet. The girl looked at him for a moment, and then turned around to leave. "Kira," she said, and then walked away. Naruto looked up a little surprised. His eyes almost immediately traveled to her behind. He then blushed unceremoniously. "I want her," Naruto stated simply. Well, kid. I never expected you to cave into your desires so quickly or even accept them as existing." "I know. But for some reason, my body is suddenly aching for her." "Is that weird? I mean, I don't even really know her," asked Naruto. "You'd be surprised at how natural that is in demon culture. We mate sometimes without even knowing our partner's name. Still, I wonder what's come over me." "It's just your demon instincts taking over. Your inner wolf is yearning for you to take her," said the nine-tailed demon. "Obviously by her scent, you found her worthy. By her appearance you found her desirable. And by hearing her voice you found the need to hear her moan." Naruto's cheeks became scarlet and he hung his head rather low. He wondered to himself if it was really the time to be thinking of such things. "I imagine my presence isn't helping much either. Having a demon inside to influence your natural instincts could lead to a heightened sense of lust," stated the demon. "A good choice though, as her hips will support the carriage of many young kids." "I shouldn't be thinking of this stuff right now. I may die." "Don't be so grim, we'll figure out something. Besides, if these are your last days, why not spend them trying to satisfy your desires?" Maybe." Naruto's eyes were slightly hazed over as he said this. Hanabi stood red in her stance. She eyed her sister with calculating eyes. "Begin!" shouted the ref. Hanabi was about to charge when she felt a strike to her gut. Next thing she knew, she was on her back. Her body was completely immobile. She saw her sister offer her a hand, and she reluctantly took it. "That was a good match, Hanabi," stated Hinata, giving her sister an encouraging smile. Hanabi just eyed her. "What part about it was good, Hinata-nizan?" stated Hanabi, looking down in disappointment. The young girl did not dare look over at her father. "It allowed me to see just how far I've come, and just how far we both need to go," said the elder of the Tehuga. Hanabi looked up at her sister. She had noticed it faintly after the preliminaries of the Chunin Exams. Her sister had seemed different, but then after a boy named Naruto was taken from the village, she had just evolved. She walked more confidently and determined. She fought far stronger than Niji. Hell, she even dressed more daring. Her sister seemed to have become an entirely different person. Hanabi sadly could only think of the negatives, such as her receiving the caged bird seal with her sister's latest improvements. She felt her father approach. "You have improved, Hinata," said the proud Hyuga male. "Hanabi, go find Niji as he will tutor you for the rest of the day. You need drastic improvement." "Yes, father," said Hanabi with a bow before she left. "Hinata," said Hayashi, "are you feeling all right?" His face was blank as he spoke, and no emotion was shown in his words. No weakness. But Hinata was finally able to pick up on the faintest hints of worry. Her father, while strict, cold, and no tolerance for weakness, still loved her. Hinata looked down briefly. "I'm troubled," said Hinata. Hayashi regarded her. "Truly?" he asked. She nodded. "You seem more confident, aware, and respectable than ever before. Is this because you are troubled?" Hinata nodded again. "I have to get stronger. To save him, I have to become the heiress." Her voice nearly cracked as she said that. She looked up at her father with determined eyes. "To save Naruto-kun." Hayashi turned away from her, seemingly in deep thought. "Then become stronger. If you do, I will push for a more earnest siege of Uzumaki Naruto in the next council meeting with the Hokage." Though he did not turn around, he could tell Hinata brightened considerably. "I will, father." "Anything," said Tsunade to the Umbu members currently gathered in her office. "Nothing," stated the captain. Swanda let out a sigh. "Dismissed." They all disappeared in a blur. The Hokage took out a bottle of sake and began to down it. "We should spread the search," she said to herself. "It's been 2 weeks, Tsunade." Jiraiya appeared behind her. She showed little recognition to his presence. "You need to pull yourself together. For the leaf." "Yet another claimed by the necklace," she said, completely ignoring the Toad Sannin's presence. "Focus!" shouted Jiraiya, slamming his fist on the front desk. "What would Naruto want?" Her eyes went momentarily wide as those words were said. She put down her sake bottle and began to sign some papers. "Has there really been no signs of him?" she asked. Jiraiya nodded. "I have my spy networks keeping their ears open. If they hear anything, I will let you know," he said. She nodded in recognition. "Then I will start preparing for the war. We need to fortify our ranks," she said. Jiraiya gave the smallest of smirks as those words were spoken. "Let me know if you hear anything on the Uchiha brat as well." "Can do," he said, giving a salute before disappearing in a poof of smoke. Tsunade's brow formed a worry line and she folded her hands in front of her face. "Be safe, Naruto." Jean played with a vial of red liquid. A small smirk graced his features. "Yes, it's getting there," he stated. He was contained in a dark room, filled with various lab equipment. All of it looking rather low-tech in comparison to some other more well-funded research labs. But it worked well considering no one paid a dime for it. He gave the vial a swirl in his hands. He placed a small sample under a microscope and stared at it with a perverse smile. "Soon," he said. "Soon." The elder sat at his throne, his brow netted in concentration. He was no fool. Jean's proposition from the beginning had been rather shady. But the elder had hopped in his heart that it was not another one of Jin's ambitions. The elder had watched Jean grow up from a pup. He had seen the tortured past the boy carried, and saw the drive for more that he always seemed to be headed towards. While such a quality is usually deemed admirable, this was not the case for Jean. The boy held no regard for life, or those who possess it. The elder worried each day that young Kira and Kota would begin to show such unstable signs. However, the elder would allow Jean to continue his work. He did it not because he was swayed or ignorant. No, he did it because of his own gut instinct. The instinct that told him there was definitely something more to Uzumaki Naruto. And until he could be certain of what it was, he had no choice but to keep Naruto confined. He just hoped that his suspicion was wrong. For if he was right, then they had just committed one of the highest crimes in their tribe.